Iowa 80 spans more than 150 football fields. It's one of the last independently owned truck stops in America that's still thriving. In the South, a former Macy's employee is betting on a comeback for Cafeterias, a restaurant style that once dominated the region, but has largely disappeared. We went behind the scenes of 7 iconic American businesses to see why they're a dying breed and what it takes to stay afloat. The Iowa 80 kitchen runs 24/7, 365 days a year. I got there around 8 a.m. on a Friday, just in time for the morning rush. Chefs were slinging out pancakes and French toast to order, making all the food for the 50-foot buffet, and working the omelet bar.
There's a lot of calling out to each other, kind of like a rhythmic dance or something like that.
They're expecting 600 people today, so chefs tackle prep for lunch and dinner early in the morning too.
When we're at full steam, we'll have 20 workers probably today.
Bacon is the first thing to hit the ovens.
We usually prep up about 60 pounds of bacon for the day.
Since opening 61 years ago, Iowa 80 Kitchen has served up to 23 million eggs. Scrambled eggs for the buffet arrive frozen. Chefs defrost the bags and drop them in a vat of hot water to steam.
And then we just beat them up with a whisk and then we serve them.
Head chef Rick Denny plans out how much food the team will make depending on the day and season.
How are you related to the family?
I'm not related at all. I've tried marrying in a few times, but they won't let me.
My grandfather was the original owner of the restaurant.
Chris Hahn still uses her grandfather's recipe for meatloaf, a crowd favorite. She chops onions and celery and dumps in spices and tomato sauce for the base of the meatloaf.
We got 90 pounds of ground beef here. The 3 main components is the beef, the mixture there, and then the breadcrumbs. How many years has this been used?
40.
40 years, yep.
This mixer is older than I am.
This is enough meatloaf to last 2 to 3 days. So chefs portion it into tubs.
So this won't get baked until probably tomorrow. We bake 2 off a day.
For Iowa 80 Kitchen size, chefs make a surprising amount from scratch. Like their ranch dressing, with 6 gallons of buttermilk, 60 pounds of mayo, and 9 packets of ranch seasoning.
We try spreading it around.
Iowa 80 staff also hand bread and dunk their fried chicken, one of the most popular dishes. Come 11 a.m., they flip the buffet over to lunch. Most of the people who stop in to eat are professional drivers who spend months at a time on the road.
They enjoy being able to come in and get, a home-cooked meal.
It's tiring. We drive 11 hours a day, have a 70-hour work week, and I always stop here because I like to shop, I like the food court. It's one of my favorite truck stops.
A lot of people eat 3 decent meals a day. Well, we're lucky to get 1.
Jerry Lenander has been driving a truck for nearly 50 years.
The Iowa 80 is the real deal. I mean, you can sit down for a home-cooked hamburger steak meal.
But there's a lot more than food here.
We have a movie theater. We have a driver lounge that has a big TV.
We toured the space with Lee Mayer, the founder's granddaughter, and the 3rd generation working here.
Our philosophy is that when our customers are at home, they should be with their family, not running all these errands or doing laundry, getting a haircut, things like that.
There's also a gym, a chapel, and 24 private showers. There's even a dentist on site.
If they're having an emergency on the road, they're not going to be able to pull their truck and trailer into, my dentist office, in a town.
They still have the mom and pop feel, and it's kind of out of the norm.
You can get your truck washed, your dog washed, or your vehicle serviced.
It's a trucker's truck stop, trust me.
Decked out rest stops like this are so crucial because truckers move about 70% of America's goods, worth roughly $13 trillion in 2022. Iowa is the nation's top producer of corn and eggs and sits at the intersection of 2 of the country's busiest cross-country highways. That's why Lee's grandparents built their business here back in 1964.
The interstate was planned, so they kind of knew where it would run.
Iowa 80 opened at the height of the nation's largest infrastructure project ever, the construction of the interstate system. America's first highways cut directly through small towns. They were narrow and had stoplights. But these new interstates bypassed communities entirely. They had 4 lanes and could handle trucks with heavier loads traveling at higher speeds. And they were built as the U.S. trucking industry was really taking off. By the 1960s, trucks began carrying more cargo, closing in on how much trains moved. Rest stops popped up along the new highways, and at first, many were small, mom-and-pop businesses.
I'm guessing it didn't look like this when your grandfather first opened it.
It was so tiny. Our main building, when it opened, like literally would fit under the gas canopy now.
But soon, truck stop chains started replacing family-owned ones. Big names popped up, like Flying J in 1968 and TA, or Truck Stops of America, in 1972. By 81, Pilot and Love's had expanded into nationwide chains, and slowly they started gobbling each other up. Pilot bought Flying J in 2010, bringing itself to over 550 truck stops with the new merger. In 2023, British oil giant BP bought TA, now known as Travel Centers of America, for $1.3 billion.
The large corporate chains gobbling up, the family-owned truck stops has absolutely been a problem. That place that a truck driver used to always stop at so that he could get his clean shower and his good meal, all of a sudden, 1 year to the next, it's gone. A travel center that is just catering to your everyday drivers and to tourists isn't going to have a lot of the amenities that a truck driver needs. Things like a larger fuel nozzle that is going to actually be able to pump fuel quick enough to be able to fill up the really large truck.
Love's and the TA and the Pilots, that's more of a shopping mall. They're crowded at night, there's no place to park, all the fuel islands are full.
Jerry owns his own truck, so he can go wherever he wants for gas. But most drivers have to use a specific chain because their company has a contract for cheaper fuel. Iowa 80's Fuel Center became a TA franchise in 1992, but the entire truck stop is still family-owned. Through the decades, the truck stop renovated 33 times to keep up with ballooning demand.
And over time, it just grew. We got busier.
Who decided it's the biggest truck stop in the world?
Well, we did, but other people said it first. When we were branded as an Amoco in the 70s, everyone would come in and say, "This has got to be the world's largest Amoco." And it kind of stuck, and no one's ever really challenged us on it.
So then you were like, I'm brave enough to put 10 giant signs claiming it.
Right.
But many other mom-and-pop truck stops died out when the chains started taking over. 2.5 hours away, one of the state's oldest roadside stops is fighting for survival.
So this is what truck stops used to look like.
At the turn of the century, America didn't have any cross-country highways. Roads between cities were terrible, mostly dirt, unpaved, and disconnected. But as cars got more popular, a guy named Carl Fisher, who launched the Indianapolis Speedway and Miami Beach, got funding from auto companies to build the Lincoln Highway in 1913, connecting New York City to San Francisco. 2 years later, communities and business groups financed the Jefferson Highway, stretching from Winnipeg, Canada to New Orleans. These were 2 of America's first cross-country highways for automobiles, and they intersected in Colo. Shortly after they were built, the U.S. joined World War I, but U.S. railroads couldn't keep up with freight demand for the war effort, so America's truck fleet stepped in, growing by nearly 200,000. That's why, in the early 1920s, the guy who owned this corner of land opened a gas station. Charlie Reed eventually added cabins and a cafe, creating the Reed Island Corner. It's argued he started Iowa's first one-stop along the Lincoln Highway.
This is Reed Island Corner, and they've been running for over 100 years. I heard a Johnny Cash came at one point.
I don't know that for a fact. I heard that.
Scott Burka worked at the gas station as a teenager in the 60s.
So right now the station's empty. You can go in there and see a lot of the stuff that was there when the station closed back in 1967. I think this is probably the original cash register. This is a kind of an interesting artifact. This was self-defense. If you had an unruly customer that tried to give you trouble, this was I guess a weapon you could use. I've been told it's a deer foot, but I don't know, it may be a hog foot or something else, I don't know. We also had a regular billy club. We gave away road maps.
65. 66.
It's interesting, some of the older maps have towns on them that aren't on the map anymore. In the day, this counter was full of boxes of candy bars. And Charlie Reed loved to give candy bars to kids when they came in.
For free?
For free, yeah. Charlie just gave them away. And I'm sure Charlie never made a dime on the candy. This was a measuring stick for your gas tank. Didn't have a gas gauge in the car. You stuck this in there to tell you how many inches of gas you had left in the tank. I'd get down on the bottom of the stick, I'd be thinking I'd be looking for a gas station.
A few steps away is Nyland's Cafe.
My mother worked here in the late 50s, early 60s, and she worked the midnight shift. And I can remember stopping here in the late 60s and mad because they raised the price of hot beef sandwich from 75 to 95 cents. We thought that, yeah, how dare they?
This became a beacon for hungry or weary travelers on their long journeys west. Many of the recipes at Nyland's Cafe have endured for generations, like this roast beef, seasoned with just salt and pepper.
There's really no reason to overcomplicate things, you know? And that's not how they would have done it 100 years ago, you know, when this building was built.
It takes over 12 hours to cook this beef.
We scrape all that goodness down in to finish getting the flavoring. We trim it out. That helps finish seasoning the gravy. We joke about this being liquid gold because it is the base for our gravy.
Head chef Jessica McKinney makes many of its dishes from scratch. The cafe is famous for its handmade pies.
The dough we use shortening or a lard mix, all-purpose flour, and a little bit of ice water, like the grandparents intended, I think, because that's where I got my recipe. Always flour your surface. That's what Grandma always said. The majority of our pie tins are definitely antiques.
Why haven't you changed the recipe?
Don't fix what's not broken. So right now we're just making it pretty, making sure the sides are standing up nice. Then to make your edges.
They're known for inventive pie flavors, like grapefruit and rum raisin. Chefs also hand-pound meat for the special of the day, fried chicken.
Does it nice feel like you're getting out some aggression?
Sometimes. We do it for our tenderloins too, which I double them up when I'm having a real bad day. Oddly enough, they stay away from me with that in my hand and knives. I don't know what the deal is, but.
Instead of buying them pre-cut, Jessica portions and pounds each chicken breast herself to keep costs low.
Our chicken prices have over doubled. Our beef prices have over doubled. Pork has stayed pretty close to the same as far as the pork loins go. Bacon has almost doubled.
But you can't charge that much for food or people won't come. They won't pay for it. So your profit margins are low.
Despite that, the cafe doesn't skimp. It uses 100% beef tallow in its fryer instead of vegetable oil.
I believe one time since we opened, we have raised prices, and that was just this last January. Like 10 cents a piece on every item.
Owner Kelsey Reed negotiated with a local egg farmer to keep egg prices low when they surged. But it's not just food prices this cafe's up against.
You know, I can remember 10 years ago paying my electric bill at home, it's like $30, you know, and we come here and it's $2,400 a month, and it's just, things are way higher than they have ever been.
How do you manage that as the owner of this business?
I don't take a paycheck. I make sure everybody else is paid first, and if there's any left over, then that goes to my account.
Is there months where you don't get paid?
Winter is hard. Winter, yeah.
This isn't the first time the business on this corner has struggled. In the mid-1960s, the highway was rerouted south of town, and traffic to Reed Nyland plummeted.
Just like in some of the movies about Route 66, you know, out in the west part of the country, the same thing happened then, you know, so these places just kind of died out.
In 1967, the gas station closed. In 1995, so did the cafe, and the town of Colo took over the property. Many of the buildings on the site had fallen into disrepair.
You know, the Traveler now was relocated on a different highway, so they didn't even know it was here, you know. So it kind of just got lost in the shuffle of time, so to speak.
The town raised $1 million between grants and donations to restore it to its 1940s glory.
We were able to get The restaurant opened in December of 2003.
But it's been nearly 20 years since those last renovations wrapped up. And again, the corner needs a lot of work. The motel doors are peeling.
Coat of paint won't fix that door, I don't think.
Even the classic neon signs have gone dark. But the city of Colo isn't making money off of Reed and Island Corner, so it's giving the site up.
Insurance has gone up, and I think that's one reason the city did not want to be a part anymore.
Brenda McGuire and some other locals formed a community board to try to save the site.
The risk is that it would just go fall to pieces and the property would be sold, and we don't want to lose that history.
She remembers it as a hangout spot for her high school friends in the 60s.
We came and looked at the boys.
I see, that's a pastime.
Yeah. If anyone would have talked to us, we'd have been scared, so that's what we did.
Just looked at boys from afar.
Yeah. And so we would like to have the next generation experience that.
Brenda's group hopes to turn the gas station back into a museum, renovate the second motel building, and get it all in the National Register of Historic Places to unlock more grants.
We don't have any money. We're starting with zero, and we're hoping that we can get some donations.
Kelsey, who runs the restaurant, says if the city decides to sell, she'd buy the site.
There's days that it's frustrating and stressful, but I generally enjoy it. It's really just all about the people.
While it might seem like the corner is holding on by a thread, as soon as those cafe doors open, the energy is buzzing.
We've never had a bad meal here.
We'll come back for more.
Okay, you gotta tell me what I have to order.
Well, my favorite thing is the half-hot beef, and then tenderloins on a bun.
Like a fried chicken sandwich kind of thing?
You've never had a tenderloin?
No, I'm not from around here.
Well, we better get your tenderloin.
This is a full hot beef, just split for you guys. Here is the special chicken fried chicken. Here is tenderloin with our homemade onion rings and our homemade house dressing.
You don't pick it up with your hands?
No, we don't pick it up. We may live in a small town, but we're not like that. I'm a ketchup lover, so I always put ketchup. Like it?
Mm-hmm. That white bread hits you at first and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm back to being 12 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Let's count how many gravies are here. 1, 2, 3.
And how much ketchup, sir?
And how much ketchup? If it's your plate, everything has ketchup on it.
Yeah, well, they used to say I put it on pumpkin pie, but I never did.
Sausage gravy, chicken fried chicken, potatoes, coleslaw. It's like taking the best part of biscuits and gravy, smashing a fried chicken sandwich on there, and adding a bunch of pepper. Oh, that's got some heft to it. Okay, that half's yours. She shudders. Here you go.
What do you think? We love tenderloins around here.
The onion rings might have been the best thing on the table.
Those are so good. They said they fry everything in beef tallow, which it's like, you can just let me bathe in that.
After our feast, Brenda had me try the cafe's famous pies. The pecan,
deep caramelly notes in there.
Listen to her notes.
Notes.
Oh, you've been watching Cooking Channel.
I love the Cooking Channel.
to rum raisin.
That's a bite. That's commitment. I like the raisins. They're like little pops of flavor in there. But I like the meringue. I like it a lot.
To Milky Way.
I think that might be illegal, Kelsey.
She just collapses. We lose Brenda.
I think I might need a moment.
Just leave me with my pie. How do you get so much flavor in that?
It's a secret.
This place is far and few between. You just don't see many family-style little restaurants like this anymore.
Back at Iowa 80, Lee's team is trying to stay true to its original roots, too.
We have a museum here on site that has over 130 trucks. That was always my grandfather's dream. Unfortunately, he didn't get to see that dream come to fruition, but we opened the museum in his honor in 2008.
Lee's mom and uncle now run the truck stop.
So tell me what it was like growing up here.
Oh, it was so fun. You know, we've been coming here since I was literally born and before that. So this is like my second home. And that's what's fun, is that I've known all these people that work here for so long.
And just like her grandparents, Lee's family has kept the truck stop and the restaurant open every day of the year.
So you said that we can, thank you, order anything all day, right?
Thank you. Yes, 24 hours a day, breakfast, lunch, or dinner.
This is a lot on the menu.
I know, it's a big menu.
Meaning you can get this giant breakfast plate at 3 p.m. like we did.
Okay, so you said that this is a fan favorite.
Oh yeah, the Hungry Man, big deal.
People finish this?
I bet they do. I don't know that I've ever seen it, but here we
Big
go.
dudes coming off a truck with a huge appetite after 10 hours of driving. I could see this being a fan favorite for sure. Yeah. Okay, I actually think I like the sausage better than I like the bacon.
The pancakes, though, they're made with sweet cream instead of buttermilk. And they had the perfect amount of tang to sweetness.
That's the best thing on the table because there is a crunch.
Even with all the syrup, there's a little crunch.
But gooey in the middle.
Rivaling those pancakes was the meatloaf.
Gotta
Cheers.
get a lot of gravy. let me get a good bite.
Cheers.
Our meatloaf, cheers. It feels like when you're a kid and your mom makes meatloaf. That's not a joke. Midwest, just coziness right there.
We did come here a lot of Sundays after church with my grandparents. So yeah, this is like home cooking for me.
Aww.
That same community spirit is on full display at Iowa 80's annual Trucker Jamboree, which draws about 45,000 visitors each summer to its massive parking lot. There's a Trucker Olympics and a beauty contest for semis. Jerry won Trucker's Choice 2025, the event's top honor. So next year, Jerry's truck will be on every t-shirt, hat, and banner at the event.
The granddaughters are parking the trucks out in the concrete. And at the end of the show, the mother, Delia, is shaking your hand as you win a trophy. I mean, that's how involved they are.
From the world's largest truck stop to one of Iowa's oldest, it's clear these places hold special meaning for people who spend their lives behind the wheel. Because the life of a long-haul trucker, driving over 250 miles a day, isn't an easy one.
There's a lot of people that don't drive trucks, that don't understand what we sacrifice. It's mostly family that we're sacrificing, being away from them.
Lisa Otto has over 20 years, 48 states, and 3 million miles under her belt.
It was unheard of a woman doing trucking, 40, 50 years ago. A lot of the guys, they rag on us, they're like, oh, you're a woman, you can't drive, but that's not true. I can run circles around 90% of them out there.
Long-haul trucking is so difficult, it has one of the highest employee turnover rates in the U.S.
It's roughly 90%. I've seen numbers as high as 150% even.
By comparison, most other U.S. industries see about a 13% turnover.
There is no real driver shortage in the United States. There is a retention problem. Low pay, lack of benefits, lack of respect and good treatment.
About 70% of professional drivers work for trucking companies called carriers.
Not all, but many carriers. They tend to see drivers as almost disposable.
Lisa's in the minority. She's her own boss. She bought her truck for $230,000.
My dashboard here is all computerized. I have all the gauges on a tablet here. This is one of the most computerized trucks out on the road.
No bathroom, though.
No bathroom, no.
That's why truck stops are really important.
Yes, truck stops are very important for that. That's cabinet storage. I keep my dry food in that cabinet. And my microwave. Under here that's just storage space where I keep all my makeup, my brushes, deodorant, all kinds of my bathing stuff. Oh, this is a refrigerator down here. This is a table. My dream catchers, yes. I kind of collect them.
That seems like a lot.
It is.
A small house.
Basically, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, on wheels.
Yeah.
And it sucks when your house breaks down. I got a top bunk. I have the bottom bunk, which the dogs sleep in their bed and at the foot of the bed over here. This is her favorite toy. I don't know what I would do without them. They're my companions, my road companions.
While some drivers have canine companions, others have human co-pilots. Preston Smith splits 12-hour shifts with his co-driver.
I've been driving for about 6 months now.
He used to be a merchandiser for Coca-Cola.
Christmas 2020, I got shot 10 times as an innocent bystander for mistaken identity. And he hit my femoral artery and shattered everything from the knee down. I died on the way to the hospital. After my incident, when I lost my leg, finding a job that's more sustainable to me, not being on my leg consistently 24/7.
So how do you like pull yourself out of that and think about another career?
Honestly, it was rough, like the first couple years, because I'm just now getting back. I just kept that drive and kept focusing and just kept pushing forward.
His co-driver, LaToya Blue Howard, has supported him with that.
I actually lost my son in 2016. He was accidentally shot by his best friend.
Oh my God.
So yeah. And he was 17 at the time. Right now he would actually be 26 if he was still here. This was my son's favorite, so I have this with me to remind me of him.
So y'all can really support each other because you both lost a lot.
Blue and Preston drive 24/7 for weeks at a time. One sleeps while the other drives, and they only stop for gas or emergency bathroom breaks.
Do y'all ever get lonely out here?
We do. But then a lot of times when I start feeling that type of way, I'll be like, yeah, it's time to get off the truck.
Which is why in rural Iowa, a truck stop with lots to do can be a lifeline.
There's barely nothing out here on the road.
Truckers are people, and they want exactly what any one of us wants when we finish a long day's work. You know, they want a cold drink, they want a warm meal, they want a hot shower, and they want to be able to do all of that in a place where they feel safe.
Between the highways and the heartland, these family-run truck stops aren't just places to fill up. They're what keep America moving.
30 or 40 years from now, there's not going to be anything like this. It's going to be all gone probably, you know. So we'll try to keep it alive as possible, as long as we can, you know.
This 70-year-old cafeteria feeds 5,000 people a week. Michael Green is the third-generation owner of Matthew's Cafeteria in Tucker, Georgia.
10 pounds of macaroni, which makes 200 servings. And that's about the smallest batch I'll make.
In the early 1900s, while diners defined the American Northeast, the South had its own institution, cafeterias.
Anybody of a certain age grew up in the South eating at a cafeteria.
At their peak, thousands operated nationwide, with chains like Morrison's and Lubby's popping up all over the South.
There's actually a section of the phone book for cafeterias.
It's mostly like a Sunday thing. Get out of church, got the kids, let's go to the cafeteria.
But in the 90s, cafeteria lines started to dry up, and many chains shuttered.
It's not just about food, it's about a community.
For the surviving cafeterias, rising restaurant prices might be sending customers back their way.
As fast food prices keep rising, consumers are looking for better value. Sit-down restaurants with bigger portions start to make more sense.
I went to Georgia to find out why these restaurants are getting harder to find, and to learn how one of the state's oldest cafeterias, and one of its newest, are fighting to keep their hot bars steaming and communities fed.
This is a really, really hard way to make a living.
Let that basket do the work. There you go.
Matthew's Cafeteria opened up in Tucker, Georgia in 1955. At the time, the Atlanta suburb was becoming a manufacturing hub, and workers stopped in on their lunch breaks.
To the basement.
Michael is still serving them many of his grandfather's original dishes.
We don't even write down recipes. There's nothing written down here.
Like these biscuits that Chef Maria has hand-mixed and cut for 24 years. The mac and cheese was Michael's grandmother's recipe.
Her macaroni was spongy. It was casserole-like. This is going to be a bit overcooked in some people's eyes, but that's how my grandmother did it. Al dente is not a Southern American word. We are not cooking this al dente. 10 pounds of pasta, 8 pounds of cheese, which is the perfect ratio, I think. Looks like a lot of milk, but this is a lot of macaroni. You gotta learn to be ambidextrous in the kitchen or you will wear one arm out, I can tell you that.
On the other side of the kitchen, chefs tackle a crowd favorite, the chicken and dumplings.
She's cutting them now and letting them toughen up just a tad. It just gives them a little more resiliency when they go into the boiling broth.
Michael's juggling a massive scale, with 100 items on the menu each week. He also has to choose dishes that'll stay tasty for hours on a steam table, a classic cafeteria feature. Take this rice, for example. Michael steam cooks it like you would pasta with extra water. That way it stays fluffy. Michael's also working within the confines of a cramped, nearly century-old building.
It was not built to be a restaurant. Some of my relatives lived here at one point, then it was a general store.
Instead of running food up the narrow steps to the restaurant, chefs rely on this old dumbwaiter from the 1950s.
And the dumbwaiter was not electric at first. It had counterweights. It was done by hand. Better than walking it up the steps.
But even with this old layout, the staff has to keep the restaurant running for 15 hours a day, from 5 a.m. to 8 p.m. They open that early for the factory workers who start at 6.
It fills a void for people, you know, nowhere else to get breakfast.
Do y'all come here often?
It's been going on 50 years.
Even a little breakfast club, I love it.
Unlike buffets, which usually charge a flat fee for unlimited food, cafeterias charge per item. As you slide your tray down, you pick what you want and pay for what's on your plate.
Look at this spread. What's really impressive is all of this was like less than $15. Look at this. So you have the nice crust on the outside, but it's soft and pillowy on the inside. I mean, come on. It's so good. This is like a three-handed job. And some biscuits and gravy. Oh my God, look at the sheen on that. That biscuit stayed crunchy. I feel like they've figured out the science of still being yummy, but sitting out. I used to stop at cafeterias on road trips when I was a kid, and this feels very familiar and very homey. Even though I just got here, I just feel sort of like wrapped up in this coziness of a giant biscuit sandwich and a big pile of sausage gravy.
But the day is just getting started. In 3 hours, hundreds of people will show up for the lunch rush. And Matthews changes its menu every single day. On the Tuesday we visited, Michael was finishing up the barbecue pork, slow-cooked out back for 12 hours.
Almost falling apart, almost. That is some good barbecue right there. This is for you. These are the best little bits. I don't know why they always stick to the grate.
Wow.
The sugar almost gets candy-like on the outside, yeah.
That's a beautiful crust to it.
Friday is for his wife Jenna's chicken and rice casserole.
It was so good that we added it to the menu, and I took it and multiplied it by 1,000. I mean, literally.
Michael actually met his wife here 14 years ago during a lunch service.
On the other side of that pole is a plaque that says where Jenna met Michael, and that's where I proposed to her.
But it's not just his wife who has kept Michael coming back all these years.
I hated this place as a kid. I didn't want to go to work in the summer. My friends weren't working. They were at the pool. And then you get old enough to listen to people when they tell you how special, for whatever reason, this place is to them. And now I get it.
Got to get a spoon.
I love to cook. The steam, the sounds, the smells, the energy, and the people I get to work with every day. I love these guys, I do. Hey.
Sorry.
Love you, man.
I was even more impressed with the lunch menu.
You hear that? Nice and crispy. The chicken is still tender inside. Next up, I'm gonna try these chicken and dumplings. Oh, that's so cozy. And they let the dumplings firm up so that there's a nice kind of like chew to them.
My favorite thing on the table? That mac and cheese.
Yeah. Slaps. That's like childhood mac and cheese. I can see why this is one of their crowd favorites.
Both of these trays for myself and my camera guy were $47, including desserts.
Look at that crust. And then strawberry shortcake. That's really good. It's pretty impressive that so much of this is made from scratch, because it's not like that big of a kitchen, you know?
And I wasn't the only one enjoying it. Retired police officer Mike Reagan comes in with all of his friends from the force every week.
It's kind of like a community gathering place in Tucker. Tucker's still got that small family feel.
like small town. And when you come in here and eating, a lot of people, you might not sit and talk to, but they always say, hey, they always say hi.
That community feel is part of why cafeterias were so successful to begin with. But they didn't start in the South. The earliest recorded one popped up in New York City in 1885, right across from the stock exchange. Brokers ate and then paid for their food on the honor system. In the 1890s, at an exposition in Chicago, the restaurant style was named cafeterias, borrowing the Spanish word for coffee shop, cafeterias. In 1906, the first California cafeteria chain, Boo Brothers, opened up. By 1927, it had 6 locations in Los Angeles and was nicknamed the Cafeteria Trail. Then the cafeterias started taking over the southern U.S. They fit the old-fashioned home-style cooking already preferred in the region. Their audience only grew after World War II, as the South urbanized around textile mills, car and airplane factories, and shipyards. Cafeterias became a go-to for workers who needed cheap filling meals on tight schedules. The food was on full display, cutting down on customer complaints. Things were cooked in bulk to bring down the cost per serving. And the line was set up so high-margin sides like desserts and salads came first, encouraging customers to load up their trays before reaching lower-margin main dishes like meats. Morrison's opened up in 1920 and would become one of the biggest cafeteria chains in America, followed by chains like S&S in Georgia, K&W in North Carolina, Piccadilly in Louisiana, and Lubby's in Texas. On Sundays, Southern cafeterias filled up with families after church.
Get out of church, got the kids, let's go to the cafeteria.
By the 1960s, cafeterias were all over malls, downtowns, and shopping centers in the South. But there was tension brewing. Cafeterias were segregated in the Jim Crow South. In 1961, protesters staged a sit-in at the Anamod Cafeteria in Oklahoma City. In 1964, dozens of Black Tennesseans were arrested for protesting a whites-only Morrison's in Nashville. The chain didn't change its whites-only policy until after the Civil Rights Act was passed, banning segregation in public spaces. Soon, cafeterias faced big competition from fast food. By the mid-70s, McDonald's and Burger King had hundreds of locations. They were cheaper than a cafeteria line, and they had convenient drive-thrus.
And they have buying power. They can offer a sausage biscuit for $1. I can't. It's like the mom and pop hardware store competing with Home Depot.
Cafeterias also felt pressure from casual dining chains like Chili's and Applebee's, which expanded rapidly in suburban America in the 80s and 90s. Then mall traffic began to slow, drawing up the dependable crowds that had sustained cafeterias for decades. Many cafeterias tried to cut costs, switching from fresh ingredients to canned and frozen ones. But they lost loyal customers when the quality worsened. Business was so tough that big cafeteria chains began consolidating and closing. Piccadilly bought Morrison's. In 2020, Lubby's almost went under, but a new owner managed to save 32 locations. In 2022, Piccadilly bought another chain, K&W, but 3 years later, it shut down all the remaining locations. Piccadilly itself went from 270 locations in 1998 to fewer than 30 today.
The family, everything, yes, tradition, all that is gone. All that went out the window.
It breaks my heart.
It's sad. It's sad to see things fade into history.
But a newer cafeteria down the road from Matthews is proving they're not all dinosaurs. When a nearby S&S cafeteria shuttered after 43 years in business, Louis Squires bought its old equipment.
I was so heartbroken by it, I thought I could rescue it.
He opened the Magnolia Room, featuring the refurbished cafeteria line, in 2017. It has higher prices, a more upscale feel than Matthews, and a waitstaff. Plus, it's not open for breakfast. But the kitchen was still buzzing on a cold Wednesday morning.
You feel the pressure? Okay. All right, 3 minutes on that lasagna.
And head chef Deborah Tardif is at the helm of it all.
All right, Cirilla, we got all the bread out? It's full, thank you, baby. Thank you so much. Green beans, pinto beans, collard greens, beets. I started cooking when I was 9 years old. So this is my passion. It comes just like walking now.
She has to keep everyone in line because together they'll make 37 dishes for lunch in just 3 hours.
Nobody want to come in a restaurant with cold food. I want them running, and as you can see, they run. They run.
On one end of the kitchen, cooks chop all the fresh produce for the salad bar and stewed vegetables. 2 people work the fryers, dropping in okra and chicken. Deborah's right behind them, singing out instructions.
Now shake it. Yep, let that basket do the work. There you go. Voila.
Over in the bakery section, chefs whip up cornbreads and pies, piled high with meringue. This kitchen might look like a well-oiled machine, but before opening the Magnolia Room, Louis didn't have any restaurant experience. He worked at Macy's.
I don't know how to cook. I mean, I don't like cooking. I don't enjoy it.
But when he noticed that a nearby S&S was selling its old equipment at a discount, he got into the restaurant business.
It was a fire sale. I got all the equipment for $24,000, so it was a steal. To duplicate it today would be about $200,000.
And it was a huge gamble.
Foolish looking back on it. I didn't realize how horribly complex restaurants were. So the journey all along, at least in the early days, was, should I keep doing this or not? Should I just fold?
He chose a shuttered dinner theater as the site of his new restaurant because of its size.
It was hard to find a building that could accommodate a stainless steel 50-foot serving line. It is 2 25-foot long sections. And the poor thing arrived and it was just sitting on its side like 2 sections of a beached whale. It broke my heart, but now look at it. It's back alive.
Since Louis didn't know how to run a cafeteria, he hired people who did.
It's just an entirely different way of feeding the customer and serving the customer. And you need people that have had that experience.
He convinced Deborah to leave her post at an S&S in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, where she says the food quality had dipped.
They changed so much, they got away from the old tradition stuff. Nobody didn't want that. Less guests coming in, less hours.
Louis found server Sherelle Summers at another S&S in Atlanta, and waitress Tanisha Williams from a Piccadilly in Atlanta, where she worked for 23 years.
You're gonna get my tray? It's pretty heavy though.
Oh, I know. I can help.
Look at her. Doesn't even flinch.
No,
thank you.
not at all.
Yeah, this is a happy place to be. You know I love it here. Yes, ma'am.
Some of Louis's chefs even brought old recipes from former chains, but upgraded them with fresh ingredients. Like the pies got real vanilla instead of artificial, and butter in place of margarine. That's partly why Louis moved away from the old, cheaper cafeteria model and started charging more. His main dishes, on average, are 28% more expensive than those at Matthew's. Despite the cost, the Magnolia Room has thrived, Louis says, because it went back to what made the chain so successful in the first place. Really yummy food.
All of these cafeterias used to have exceptionally good food on the level of what we're serving here, but they abandoned it. But I will always raise the price before I cut the quality.
And he says people are willing to pay.
How often do you come in here?
6 to 7 times a week. And well, with the price of groceries, I don't see much cost difference.
The Magnolia Room's customers aren't the only ones doing the math.
When prices rise, people want to feel like going out to eat is worth it.
In 2025, U.S. fast food prices climbed faster than casual sit-down restaurants.
In a K-shaped economy, lower-income consumers are pulling back on spending, not eating out as much, and higher-income consumers are still going out. But if they're realizing that they're spending $12 to $15 at the drive-thru, they're starting to think, I could just go someplace and sit down and have a better experience for the same amount of money. The brands that are offering bigger portions at reasonable prices, like Olive Garden, Texas Roadhouse, Chili's, they're seeing traffic growth. But traditional fast food giants like Wendy's and McDonald's just aren't seeing the same momentum. And that shift is happening across the industry, not just at casual chains.
For the Magnolia Room, that shift is showing up at the register.
They do all the work. All I have to do is enjoy it. Nothing in here is canned. Nothing saw the inside of a freezer.
Most of the comments we get are that it's an excellent value because it really is the same level of freshness and quality that a fine dining restaurant would order.
Just like the cafeterias of the 50s, Lewis's Kitchen makes everything from scratch.
People can't believe we still do that. We run a very good food cost, we run a good labor cost, and everybody's happy. So this notion that it can't be done in today's world because of the high expense of labor is not what I found.
But were Lewis's claims of quality legit? I put them to the test. First with the fried chicken.
That is some crispy skin. I don't understand how they fired that a few hours ago, yet it's still so crispy and so juicy.
That chicken was an absolute standout.
And look at the size of this piece. I mean, that's a whole chicken. Look at the size of my head. We got the chicken pot pie with the biscuit on top. That's a power move. Instead of dumplings, putting a giant biscuit on top. Look at that crab stuffed catfish. Ooh. Whoa. You get hit with those like really strong Creole spices at the front and then that briny note in the back. Off a cafeteria line. Are you kidding me? Can try fried okra.
The only thing Matthews might have won on was the mac and cheese.
It doesn't really have the cream sauce that we saw at Matthews. This is more like souffle almost. Considering how much butter we saw go on top, it's kind of silly I'm putting more on, but you know, when in the South. That's that melt in your mouth pillowiness. Oh, it's so yummy.
And these sweet potato balls were a surprise home run.
Marshmallow, sweet potato, saltines fried together, and a bunch of sugar. I don't think I've ever tasted anything like that. That feels special.
So the Magnolia Room's food was delicious, but it also reimagined what a cafeteria could be and rebuilt a community around its food. One that I was immediately scooped up into.
It's just like that you would have cooked it at home.
Yeah,
That's it.
yeah. But you don't have to cook it. You just come here and let them cook it.
Just come here.
I met this couple, Mama Eula and her husband, Mr. Maddox, in line, and they invited me to sit with them.
Real old antique.
I doubt it.
78 and 75.
I'm telling you.
With the program, what's wrong with you?
I'm telling you, Southern food makes everyone look young, I think.
Want any gravy on your dressing? When you come in here, it's warm and it's welcome.
Yeah.
It's like a family. It just feels like home.
Yeah.
It really feels like home. You know how me and you met?
Yeah.
Just like we've been knowing each other, what, how long?
I've known you my whole life, actually.
I'm from the country. This is just like some food that you would take off the stove, put on your table, and your family would eat.
And that's what this restaurant is all about.
This is the caring place. And you can be my daughter too, and you can be my son too.
I'd be honored. Thank you.
Waitresses hugged the folks who stopped in and knew their names and orders by heart.
It is wealthy people. It is low-income people. It is all racial groups. It is old and it is young. I think this food is a great equalizer.
I wondered if Lewis could rescue other failing cafeteria chain locations.
There's a few K&Ws that have seemed empty at this point.
I'm just salivating. It's just driving me crazy. I'm like, these would be so successful as a Magnolia Room. Yeah, so you never know. But if this is the only one, this is the only one. It does sort of make it special.
Michael doesn't have plans to duplicate Matthew's cafeteria either. He's focusing on the community that's already there, relying largely on hospitality manager Candace Caswell to make people feel at home. I caught Candace making little table bouquets with holly from her yard.
A lot of our customers have been coming here forever, and some of them are alone.
Yeah.
You know, and they don't have anybody, so it just kind of makes for a homier atmosphere.
That's really sweet for you to even think about that.
Oh, well, I love people, And you know I have a gift of gab, Abby.
Matthews, frozen in time, has long known that it needs to be ready to serve whoever shows up hungry.
Antes no venían muchos hispanos acá, pero hoy sí vienen mucho. Viene mucha gente hispana también. Mucho, mucho, mucho. Vuelven y a veces traen extra gente a comer acá.
You know, everything seems in popular culture to come full circle. Bell bottoms become cool again, haircuts become cool again, and then luckily for us, I think we've hung around long enough to where maybe the way we used to do things is cool again.
Magnolia Room and Matthews have held on to something the rest of the restaurant industry is clamoring for. The idea that a meal can still be communal. And for the people who keep coming back, that's worth standing in line for.
Don't give up on us. Don't give up on us. If you're ever within range of Tucker, Georgia, and you want to see the way it used to be done in the South, and it's still being done right.
This is the kitchen behind one of America's largest diners. Tops in East Newark, New Jersey, serves 13,000 people a week. Customers travel from all over the world to chow down on its 325 menu items.
I not only like Tops, I love Tops.
New Jersey is the diner capital of America, boasting more than any other state. These iconic restaurants, clad in chrome and marked by neon signs, used to be all the rage across the U.S.
They are quintessentially American.
Go at any diner, you'll have suits and you'll have guys with dirty overalls and everything in between.
But now, traditional diners are disappearing.
Don't call them diners anymore, call them unicorns. They're becoming extinct.
It's estimated New Jersey lost 150 in the last decade. Summit Diner is one of the state's oldest and is one of the few remaining examples of the compact style of the 1920s.
I'm kind of saddened because I might be the end of the line.
So what happened to the iconic American diner, and why, against steep odds, have Tops and Summit kept the big business of diners alive? I went to Tops on a Wednesday morning, thinking it'd be a little slower. And I was very wrong.
Growing up a couple blocks away, you always hear, how busy Tops Diner is. And until you work here, you never realize how much product this restaurant goes through.
We use between 200 and 300 pounds hash browns from Monday to Friday. And weekends is over 300 pounds, easy.
Each week, chefs crack 21,600 eggs. They'll end up in classic diner favorites like omelets and pancakes.
If you want pancakes at 8 o'clock at night, 9 o'clock at night, we got it. No judgment? No judgment.
They're also serving some local New Jersey delicacies, like these disco fries smothered in cheese and this homemade gravy.
We're going old school and we're roasting the bones. We're roasting the vegetables. We're not taking any shortcuts here.
The dish is so popular, each week they go through 2,400 pounds of fries.
We need a walk-in dedicated just for French fries. We need a fryer just for French fries.
It takes a team of dozens of chefs rotating through these kitchens. They have to be ready to fire just about anything.
People are ordering pastas, with Alfredo sauce at 8:30 in the morning.
The original Tops, founded in 1942, was a lot smaller.
My dad, he was Mr. Tops. He would be serving coffee in an Armani suit.
Jimmy Golimus's father bought the joint back in 1972 after moving here from Greece.
If you came to my restaurant in the 80s and 90s at 2, 3 in the morning, you wouldn't believe. You'd have wise guys, drug dealers, and then a police officer, a nurse, it was insane.
Jimmy's dad remodeled twice, but the big transformation came in 2020. Jimmy and his brothers took out a $15 million loan to rebuild, adding takeout and more seats, parking, and kitchen space to keep up with soaring demand.
Today we're bringing in the world's biggest drink corral.
But then the pandemic hit.
We lost my dad during COVID too. It broke us, it broke us.
To honor their father, the brothers got the new space up and running. It's 3 times the size of the original.
This is your typical diner configuration line. What we did was we stretched it out a little bit. There's no backstation, no height in this whole restaurant. So everyone that works here is at the same level.
The working conditions are a lot better, and that's important. or else how are you gonna last? Got the old diner. You ready? It's like 120 degrees in the kitchen, guys. You'd see line cooks, right? That started like the first day, and they would be like, I'm taking my break, and they never show up again.
This area is for prep. Here, chefs are boiling loads of spaghetti, smashing dozens of avocados for guacamole, and hand wrapping these Philly cheesesteak egg rolls. At this station, chefs are hand breading chicken for the #1 seller, chicken and waffles. They're also dishing out creative takes on typical diner fare, like Latin steak and eggs and Mexico City burgers.
I would say the menu here, it's probably the most expansive diner menu in New Jersey.
This is
You have
so
it.
overwhelming, yeah.
That's Peter Genovese. He literally wrote the book on New Jersey diners.
Tops Diner, East Newark, could make a claim to being New Jersey's best known diner. It is certainly the most acclaimed diner. Just listen to this place. You feel like you're at some sort of interstate truck stop. Everybody's talking. There's all different kinds of mix of people.
The disco fries?
First, Peter had me order New Jersey's finest.
Oh my goodness.
We wanted the large size.
This is huge. It's a mountain. Oh my God.
It just became the quintessential Jersey late night food. Go to the disco or nightclub, or you're already hungover, you're drunk. What goes down better than this?
I just want to show you the comparison to my head. This has some girth to it. I can see why people would like this after a night out when they just want to be like cozy and warm, but also a little like sultry and do like a bad thing.
And we weren't the only ones enjoying the food. With 400 seats, Tops is nothing like your typical diner. Diners definitely didn't used to look like this. And believe it or not, they didn't start in New Jersey. Diners can trace their roots back to Rhode Island in 1872. From his horse-drawn wagon, Walter Scott sold sandwiches and pies to newspaper workers on the night shift, and it was a hit. 15 years later, a guy from Massachusetts put a kitchen and standing room for customers inside his lunch wagon. It was still narrow and long, so it could easily be moved on roads. Then in the 1910s, diner manufacturers like Jell-O Mahoney from New Jersey popularized a larger stationary lunch wagon. These were for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. They could be ornately decorated with stained glass windows, varnished wood, and custom lettering. These were so fancy, owners started calling them diners, possibly taking inspiration from the fabulous dining cars on trains. Jell-O Mahoney and dozens of others in New Jersey opened factories to pump out thin, prefab diners that were the perfect size to be shipped by rail or pulled behind a truck across the country. They were wide enough for only a kitchen, a counter, and a few stools. Post-World War II was the golden age. It's estimated that 20 prefab diner manufacturers had popped up, shipping out more than 6,000 across the US. Up to a third of them were New Jersey made. Then diners began moving from city centers to the suburbs and getting bigger.
Highways are expanding, car ownership is huge. People, especially white people, are moving out to the suburbs, right? They wanted cheap, hot meals, but on the road. And so that was a niche that a lot of diners filled once driving became such an integral part of American society.
Which is why New Jersey was a perfect place for diners. It had the best highway system in the country. The state was densely populated with working class folks looking for affordable eats. And it was a natural stopping point for travelers between big cities like Washington, D.C., New York City, and Philadelphia. Around this time, a lot of Greek immigrants from war-torn Europe worked their way up to owning many diners.
It was a pretty easy way to start a business. You could buy a prefab diner, have it show up. If your English wasn't great, that was okay because it was sort of very domain specific. You just needed to know the menu items.
Their restaurants were known for colorful booths, easy to clean stainless steel, long Formica countertops lined with stools, tiled floors, and neon signs that grabbed drivers' attention from the road. With their bright colors and cozy feel, these restaurants became a symbol of American optimism in a lot of ways.
I think the diner to people outside the US is often seen as a quintessentially American thing. a grilled cheese or a hamburger or eggs and toast and bacon in the morning. That is sort of the baseline of American food.
You'll see diners as the backdrop for classic films and TV shows like Grease, American Graffiti, and Gilmore Girls.
8 million people live in New Jersey. I would say 70 to 80% of them have been to a diner at some point in their life. That's how integral diners are to the Jersey experience.
Despite becoming an American icon, diners started stumbling well before they graced the silver screen. Jerry O'Mahony shuttered his business in the 1950s, just as big fast food chains were launching. McDonald's opened its first franchise restaurant in 1955. 10 years later, it had 700 locations. Burger King had around 250.
These fast food chains were cheap and they were fast. And when you think about that, that's sort of what diners used to do, but fast food maybe did it better in some cases.
Franchises also offered an easier way into the restaurant business.
If you can pay the money, the franchise fee, then they just give you all the instructions on how to run a McDonald's, because you got to think, do I want to run a restaurant with this national name that's already recognized, or do I want to spend all this time building up my own business?
In the 1950s, sit-down franchises such as Denny's, Waffle House, and IHOP launched, trying to replicate that diner feel.
What do you do when you go there? You order a stack of pancakes, or maybe some toast and bacon and eggs, or a burger, except instead of a local diner, it's a national chain.
Cracker Barrel popped up in 1969, aiming to lure motorists off the highway.
Those took aim at the same business that diners had always tapped into.
Diners responded by adding pages and pages of new menu items to capture changing tastes. But it wasn't enough. By the 2000s, the number of diners in the US had dropped to 2,500, less than half of the peak. Some prefabs had fallen into disrepair, and owners of the oldest ones were dealing with nearly century-old buildings.
A lot of the companies that made these prefab diners just aren't around anymore. So you can imagine if you're an owner of one of these diners and you're still trying to run it, where do you find replacement parts? It's probably kind of a hard task.
Just like they always have, owners faced long working hours.
It never stops. It's a 24-hour job.
But now, diner bosses are up against headwinds such as labor shortages, rising rents, and soaring food costs.
This will be the last business on earth I'd want to be in.
In the last decade, it's estimated New Jersey has lost 150 of them.
There's one in Route 22, actually, they closed. And it's sad because it's part of the United States culture.
You see a lot of places closing down because nobody wants to put the hours and the work into doing this, so.
And while these iconic American eateries seem to be struggling across the state, this one has survived for almost a century, and we're gonna go figure out why.
Summit Diner, built by Jerry O'Mahony Diner Company, is one of the few remaining examples of a prefab.
Raj, that's your rent? Yes, sir. Give me 10.
It's tiny, with just 40 seats inside, but it feels like a movie set. The diner opened in 1928, and legend has it, Ernest Hemingway ate here.
I wasn't around, so I can't tell you.
Owner Jimmy Gerbieris' family bought Summit Diner in 1964 after immigrating from Greece. He started working here when he was 19.
That's my dad's brother, my Uncle John. When I started, 1980, I used to have limos parked from front 2 blocks up. I mean, they used to run the financials in New York. And then with every crash, it got less and less and less. And now I depend on the everyday guy that comes in here, construction, all that kind of stuff, the workers.
Unlike his shifting clientele, the inside hasn't changed much in the last 90 years.
Everything in here from 1939, the tile. The wood is all mahogany. Black Italian marble, 1939. The stools were here. Those are the original tables from 39. Even the tops. The black tile, I had to put in because I couldn't replace it. You know, of course I had to redo the Formica on the ceilings because it got real dingy. My father-in-law cleaned everything with Easy Off. And it killed it. Just ate through it.
Jimmy even rings up orders on this cash register he estimates is over 75 years old. Cash only, of course.
Now we're writing notes, but back in the days when I started, it was singing. 2 eggs over easy, corned beef hash, 1 side of sausage. You just have to memorize. So it was crazy. And still we don't have credit cards, we don't have a calculator and pen, that's it, that's all you use here.
This classic look and feel has earned the restaurant a lot of buzz lately.
I guess it's just the nostalgia of it.
Tour groups from all over the world stop by. Peter named Summit the best diner in New Jersey.
If somebody from out of state, from Idaho or Missouri, they say, take me to a Jersey diner. I've never seen one. Take them here. This is a very sort of classic 30s, 40s diner. You know, it's not like the Tops Diner where the menu's the size of a telephone book.
Jimmy has barely touched the menu, stretched across the top of the diner. His most popular item is a Jersey staple, the Taylor ham roll.
It's New Jersey's unofficial breakfast sandwich. You know, I think if it was somehow banned, I'm not sure what we would do for breakfast, seriously, in Jersey.
Jimmy starts his with 2 thick slices from this giant log of pork.
I mean, it's basically a lot of ham. I don't know what they mix in it. I have no clue.
Chefs slash the edges so the slices don't shrink, and then throw them onto the grill to brown up.
So he said that he does 2 and that he cuts them thicker because he has less cooktop space than like a Tops, who might give you 3.
The meat is slapped on a roll from a local bakery and layered with an egg and melty cheese. People in northern New Jersey call the sandwich a Taylor ham, after the company that makes the pork. But in other areas of Jersey, it's known simply as a pork roll.
She's about to try a Taylor ham, egg, and cheese for the first time in her life.
In my entire life.
Here we go.
No pressure. Oh my gosh, this looks so good. Somehow it tastes nostalgic, even though I've never had it before, if that makes sense. You got salty. Oh, it's so good. The cheese carries a lot.
You got to go to Jersey if for at least one reason, the Taylor ham sandwiches.
Really good coffee and really good unidentified processed pork. You did good, Jimmy.
Despite all his years slinging out Jersey classics, Jimmy says there are some things he would never put on his menu.
Avocados, one of my pet peeves. I mean, I can get it, do it, but we don't know how to work with it, and it goes bad.
If the avocado toast ended up on their menu, that would pretty much be a sign of the apocalypse.
Which is why Jimmy sticks to the classics.
45 years, I think I got it down. This is what we do.
His tiny grills are loaded up with homemade corned beef hash, pancakes, and omelets.
How many eggs do you think you go through on a Saturday?
On a Saturday, close to 2 cases, which is a case is about 30 dozen.
That's about 720 eggs.
That's not bad. For a little place like this, that's a lot of eggs. And a lot of running around. I don't know where all these people come from on the weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's a zoo. You might have to wait 20 minutes to get your meal, which that was unheard of. They got to realize, it's a 5-foot grill.
Mate, I'll do the counter. You do this.
Good morning.
Hey, good. How are you?
Even on this busy Wednesday, the rest of our food came out within 10 minutes.
We got the healthy diet
Thank
going
you.
here, right?
Yes. You see the avocado in there anywhere?
I heard avocado's gonna be on the menu soon. That's what I heard. Sources tell me.
Oh, no, never.
Never. So where's the Greek influence in this food?
The cooks. Actually, there's oregano
There you go.
in the corned beef hash.
I love that. I love the crispy bits in the potatoes and the hash. Good sausage.
The sausage, yeah.
It's really fragrant, like kind of Christmassy vibes.
We'll try the pancake, one of my favorite foods.
All the while, the classic diner coffee was flowing.
Why don't you have a little coffee with your milk?
I just try to make mine into basically
Why don't you
coffee
just
ice cream.
warm up some milk?
And we weren't the only ones enjoying our food. This place was buzzing.
Look, we've eaten in some of the finest restaurants in New York and the world. I would sooner come here.
It feels like Jimmy and his staff are really important to this town.
It's an icon, and Jimmy is kind of an awesome guy, so they go together really well. One of the things we always talk about in Summit is the character of our town, and this is part of that character. It's part of the charm.
My closest hunting buddy.
I've been here like 14, 15 years, and I don't have any family here. So all the people from the Summit Diner, they just kind of support me. I fell down and I broke the head of the tibia. I wasn't able to walk for 2 years.
2 years.
And he used to go to my house and hand me food, money. Really? Nice. My angel. He can be a pain in my butt too.
Yeah.
And not only them, but the people that come here. So I love this place.
Despite all the love, Jimmy worries the restaurant might finish with him.
I overeducated my kids. Nobody wants to do this anymore. You know, I have to hand it down. I'm kind of saddened because I might be the end of the line.
Could it be Summit without Jimmy though?
I don't know, but I might have to because my wife is getting a little anxious to start traveling.
I'd be heartbroken if there wasn't somebody taking it over. I think the town would rise up in arms if somebody decided to tear it down.
It's getting harder to run, you know, finding help to run the business. You need a lot of people to run a diner.
Then there's the soaring food prices.
Eggs you heard about. Before COVID, we were paying $1.20 a dozen. It shot up to $8.60, I think, the top. And now we're like $3.75.
That Taylor ham was under $3 a pound before the pandemic.
Now we were paying $4.75.
Did you have to raise them at all?
I did. I had to do it after COVID because everything went up, but I'm still, my prices are still not bad.
But it seems Summit's not alone in this challenge.
In the last couple of years, there have been a couple of dozen diners that have closed and not reopened or torn down. Some diners are just sitting there waiting for a buyer. I don't think there's a sort of disease or something that's working its way and eliminating diners one by one. And I think it's happening in the restaurant business in general.
When diners close, the loss can hit communities especially hard.
They're not just restaurants, but they're a piece of history that we're losing. You could go to a diner, get a decent meal, and meet people who lived in your neighborhood, right? You become a regular, you feel a sense of belonging. And I think this is something we've lost a little bit in America.
Waitresses, they don't know you and they call you honey. I love that.
That's why when Tops introduced a much bigger, louder concept, it shocked lifelong customers who were used to the cozy, homey feel of the original location.
More people on the older side miss that small, intimate feel. But once the check comes, I walk over to the table and they're happy.
Tops' new space still pays homage to its past, with its neon sign out front, chrome details, bar stools, and booths.
I didn't believe in getting rid of the good stuff. I just wanted to change the culture and work more efficiently.
But those changes seem to stretch the definition of a diner. For one, it's huge, a far cry from the skinny eateries of the 1930s. And it's got liquor. Bartenders sling out cocktails any time of day.
We got a DJ spinning over here. I'm bumping music.
Tops also has its own butcher room.
We cut our own meats. We also have meats cut from us, from Pat LaFreda, who we use.
And a bake shop on site.
Okay, cookies here. What are we cooking in here, guys, right now?
We got cheesecake and fruit leche.
Is that cheesecake right there? Yeah. So that's like your old school classic cheesecake. We got it in a water bath. It's the same way we've been doing it since the 70s. We got the recipe from the Claremont Diner in Newark. We're talking like Mount Rushmore of diners. It's not just for our dessert menu. The Big Shop makes all the pancake batter, the waffle batter, French toast. They juice over here. They do syrups for the there's so many things that they do that help the restaurant flow.
This Tres Leches is one of their best sellers. But it's not just the cake. A lot of the menu takes inspiration from well beyond New Jersey.
You'll be coming here for months and you'll never try the same thing.
I'm seeing jerk chicken.
Yeah.
Huevos rancheros, a Dominican breakfast, eggs Italiano, the meatloaf, chicken parm.
I love the meatloaf.
Canela vodka, a Mexico City burger.
These are what, cheesesteak egg rolls? Yeah, cheesesteak, it's a South Jersey thing.
So a little like Philly, Asian, but somehow we're in New Jersey combination.
Yeah, there's no special way to eat it. You can have the chicken separately from the waffles. You can put the chicken on the waffles. Chicken looks good, like nice and crispy.
Kind of tastes like a grandma's back there cooking this chicken and waffles.
The Latin eggs were delicious.
Oh my gosh, there's a tortilla underneath here. That's so fun. So you've got some chiles, you've got pickled onions, some salsa, tortilla, peppers, avocado. It's fun to see the avocado because Jimmy from Summit said he would never touch it, And here there's avocado toast with salmon on it for like $20. So I feel like there's room, pun intended, for creativity at this diner that I don't know if Summit could venture into something like this without an uproar, right?
You would never have cheesesteak or spring rolls on his menu.
Why do you think Tops can get away with this?
Well, they're so big. They order so much in volume, so they can order a lot of different things, throw it all on the menu, see what works.
You need the volume. I need to make enough income so I could do what I need to do, because how then can I experiment?
This isn't the first time Tops has broken diner tradition. In 2006, it stopped opening for 24 hours a day.
It was like breaking news on CNN. Other owner call up, what's going on? Is it dangerous at the time? No.
Another thing that sets Tops apart from other diners?
It's a little pricey. I mean, chicken.
I mean, a $7 latte? Yeah.
Yeah, chicken dishes, $25, almost $30. Spaghetti dishes, $15, $20.
While pancakes here are only a few dollars more than at Summit's, the omelets, disco fries, and egg platters are almost double the price.
You know, they're reasonably affordable, but some of he's got to pay the mortgage.
But all these changes seem to have worked.
I like the ambiance, I like the people. I'm here every time I'm off from work. The food is delicious.
You know what I will say is I do think that this has a younger audience than Summit. And we went on the same days at the same time.
Look at what I have. I got 180 parking spots. I got a 16,000 square. But this is like the Vatican of diners, right? And I want to like.
You didn't say like the Acropolis.
Yeah, I should have said the Acropolis, right?
I think a lot of people see the size of this place and they're like, man, not a diner anymore. You know, like what?
Yeah, always. You're not a diner. You're not a diner. You're not that. I don't care. I love it. Look at the menu. I mean, it's a diner menu. I don't even know. I don't know what we are. We're the unicorn.
I think in America today, you see diners like Tops that have pushed the envelope a little bit on what a diner can be in order to remain relevant. At the same time, you also see diners like Summit, which have remained a little more traditional and close to what people expect a diner to be in some cases. And there's room for both.
Peter sees this as a sign that we don't need to worry about diners completely disappearing.
Diners are forever. I mean, I really believe that. You know, will there be more diners closing in the next couple of years? Sure. But a diner can thrive anywhere.
These places do feel like unicorns. More than a business, they feel like community centers for friendly folks from all walks of life to converge over a cup of coffee and a stack of pancakes.
I'm fortunate and grateful because I have them as my bosses, and the people here are very, very nice. I hope these keep us going till 100 years probably.
This is the kitchen behind America's largest buffet. Shady Maple in Pennsylvania serves about 1.2 million people a year.
There's 20 trays. Every piece has to be laid out individually.
Customers travel from all over the country to chow down on this 200-foot buffet.
You come here, you eat until you start laughing.
Oh my God, I don't even have enough hands.
It will set you back just $16 on a Saturday morning.
I feel like it just sums up American culture so well. Lots of cheap food.
Come on into Old Country Buffet.
All-you-can-eats like this used to be all the rage across the U.S. Even big chains like Pizza Hut and KFC got in on the trend. But especially in the last decade, buffets have stumbled. Their U.S. market size is down roughly 30% since 2012.
But this place, Shady Maple, has thrived.
On average, 4,000 people come here every day to eat. So what happened to the all-American, all-you-can-eat? And why, against all odds, has Shady Maple kept the big business of buffets alive?
Now that, crispy.
I met with Summer Smith, Shady Maple's food quality manager, bright and early on a Saturday morning.
Good morning. Yeah, got a little maze.
Yeah.
The cooks start prep at 4 a.m.
We'll go through about 700 to 750 pounds of bacon.
Saturdays are their busiest days as they race to prep for 8,000 people.
Where are we going that way? Oh, the energy is high. It's like our Super Bowl.
The chefs cook a ton of different dishes, from American to Pennsylvania Dutch fare, honoring the Mennonite and Amish traditions of the area. Like this local delicacy called scrapple.
Liver, and it's ground up.
At the fryer station, they crisp up sausage patties and links. On the griddles, chefs drop hundreds of pancakes. This line is for egg dishes. Summer and her team go through over 700 eggs for a Saturday breakfast. On the other side of the kitchen, this team starts cutting veggies for lunch.
They'll set up this chopper. The broccoli, cauliflower, they chop by hand.
It's a lot of prep.
By 8 a.m., the line wrapped around the lobby, and I was getting a little hungry, so it was time to check out the buffet myself.
Hi. Just one.
Just one today. That is going to be $17.69. Okay.
Gotcha. Is there a time limit?
There is not a time limit. You can stay as long as you'd like. Just if you want to stay past 11 o'clock, that's when we switch over to our lunch buffet. There you go. There's your ticket. Head down there. You can get seated by a hostess.
Okay.
And they'll let you know how everything works.
Thank you so much. Can I get an omelet with everything on it?
One chocolate chip.
Oh, yeah. This is like childhood right here. Scrapple. She said this was a Pennsylvania favorite. Never have too much bacon. French fries. You need a little lime bacon to hold you over for the table bacon, you know? I have no shame. Let's go. All right. Got the first round. The cinnamon syrup was too much. That is the thickest omelet. I'm gonna crush it in like 30 seconds flat. I'm gonna try the Pennsylvania Dutch scrapple. It's just like, it's literally just a patty of like pork. She said liver's in it, all that stuff. Baked French toast. Whoa. Okay, that's good. I'm gonna try this whoopie pie. Oh man, I'm covered in chocolate. Flip the slip over when you're finished dining, and no tipping, please. I mean, look at this spread. Like, if you wanted to try everything, you're inevitably not gonna be able to finish it all.
What's really mind-boggling? All of this was just $16. And those affordable prices are why Americans fell in love with buffets to begin with. Buffets can be traced back to 18th century Sweden, where elites feasted on large spreads called smorgasbords. Around the same time, the French laid out fancy meals of their own. That's actually where we got the name for buffet, after the French word for sideboard, where the food was served. But it was a Las Vegas casino manager who brought the idea to the American masses in 1946 with a 24-hour buffet that cost just $1.
And that was something that didn't make him a lot of money. Herb's Buffet was meant to attract people there, and then they would stay and eat, and then eventually gamble, and that's where the casino made its money.
In the 1970s, buffet chains started to spread across the U.S.
Golden Corral. Delightful, delectable. At Old Country Buffet, kids always get what they want.
The restaurants could keep meal prices affordable because they had heavy foot traffic and low labor costs.
It doesn't take very many people to run a Golden Corral compared to a fancy restaurant.
There weren't as many servers, and a smaller kitchen staff cooked in big batches. While a chef at a sit-down restaurant can cook for 25 people in an hour, a buffet chef can serve 200.
The profit margins at these places were razor thin, but it is definitely something that gets consumers in the door. And for a lot of restaurants, that's challenge number one.
By the 1980s, buffets were a roaring success.
And a key part of the American dream is having excess, right? Having lots of stuff.
And in a way, an all-you-can-eat buffet fits perfectly in with that.
You know, Wendy's Super Bar is great for families because there's something for everyone.
The concept was so successful that big brands like KFC and Wendy's hopped in on the trend.
I went to Pizza Hut regularly in high school for the buffet because it was cool as a high school kid to gorge yourself with pizza.
Shady Maple's founders started the buffet at the height of all-you-can-eats in 1985. From a small roadside veggie stand in the 60s, their new 300-seat buffet concept was a quick hit. 1.5-hour waits were common. But soon, all-you-can-eat stumbled across the country. In the era of fad diets, customers opted for healthier options. Then,
into the 90s especially, there are a number of fairly high-profile incidents involving kind of mass food poisoning at these places.
In 2000, a Milwaukee Sizzler was responsible for hundreds of probable E. coli cases. In 2003, a Chi-Chi's in Pittsburgh was the site of, at the time, the largest hepatitis A outbreak in U.S. history. Bad green onions infected 660 people and killed 4. In 2010, a man got salmonella from an Old Country buffet in Wyoming. The court ordered the chain to pay him $11 million in damages.
When you have enough stories in the news about people getting food poisoning from these places, that affects public perception, and people will go elsewhere, and it's been downhill ever since.
Between 1998 and 2017, more than 1,300 all-you-can-eat restaurants in the U.S. closed down. Then came the coronavirus pandemic.
It's hard to imagine a more lethal blow to all-you-can-eat buffets than COVID. Everyone takes from the same trays and puts it on their plate. There's a bunch of silverware sitting out. It's all communal in a sense, and I don't want to eat food that maybe other people have sneezed on. That's just gross.
Sizzler, one of the biggest buffet chains in the U.S., announced bankruptcy in September 2020. The following year, the parent company of Old Country Buffet did the same. The pandemic shook Shady Maple too.
We had to close here for over 5 months. We reopened, then we had to close again between Thanksgiving and Christmas.
They started doing takeout, but what really kept the company afloat, Summer says, was the Shady Maple grocery store behind the buffet, which brought in thousands of customers every day. But since 2021, Shady Maple's buffet business has come back with roaring success.
The last 2 years have been our best years ever, and we're continuing to thrive.
Shady Maple's reputation for making fresh food has kept people coming back.
There is this notion that everything is fresh or homemade. That's a different proposition than a CC's or a Golden Corral.
Instead of using pre-made mixes, Chef Brian Nagley whips up the bechamel sauce for the mac and cheese from scratch, using milk and shredded cheddar. He also makes the stuffing, or filling as the Pennsylvania Dutch call it, by hand, following the founder's original recipe. He mixes 10 pounds of butter with bread cubes.
You can feel it. You know what I mean? You feel it with your hands.
To keep food fresh, the staff monitors the buffet closely and orders more when a tray is close to running out.
So this is our ordering system that we order the food here, that it goes back to the fryer aisle in the cooks department.
Kielbasa! The fryers get the ticket, this one for fried shrimp, and fill the order as quickly as possible. That ticket stays with the batch back through the order window. But while an order of fried shrimp might take chefs 2 minutes to fill, the fried chicken takes 30 minutes.
He's putting a load of chicken in. His name is Tungsten. And then after he puts it in, we have them programmed in. 18 minutes it takes for fried chicken. What's your nickname, son?
Hey, handsome man.
Because he thinks he's handsome. He calls me boss lady.
Tongsun dunks and breads every piece by hand. Each order has 60 pieces, so he's always juggling multiple batches at once.
Yes, ma'am.
Cook John Plott cooks the veggies they chopped earlier.
What'd you just put in?
Cabbage. Yes, ma'am.
cabbage, and then when it comes out, we throw some of our brown butter and cornflake mixture on top of it. Summer. This one just froze again.
Most restaurants have a shutdown, and we don't. We keep going from the moment we open at 7 a.m. till we close at 7:30. So the equipment sometimes gets tired, like everybody else does.
Down the aisle, John jumps in to make potatoes.
We mix our mashed potatoes for 5 minutes. If you do it under, they don't turn out. If you do it over, they don't turn out. There is a science to it.
At the end of the aisle, chefs pull the briskets out of the smoker.
So on a Saturday, we'll go through 42.
We have it down to a science where it's a hickory smoke, cooked 12 to 14 hours.
Here they're grilling rows of pierogi and kielbasa sausages.
Hi, it's me again.
If you're like me and want to stay for both breakfast and lunch, you just have to go back to the front and pay the $13 difference.
It's not actually an advertised thing. You only hear it by word of mouth. It's a fun little perk from being here.
If you have the stomach for 2 meals in a row.
Yes.
Round 2. The only thing Summer said I needed to eat was this brisket.
How long have you been working here for?
Long time, and I've been always on this grill.
There you go.
Thank you so much.
Some people say it's expensive, but it's actually really cheap. You know, when you think about it.
Hey! Love it. I need to get the fried chicken. That's what everyone told me was the best thing here. Cool. Handsome man, he's the one that made that. Okay, got the goods. And I think that's the stuffing that Mr. Brian made for us. Can I get a burger with cheese, please? Oh my God. We haven't seen any of these foods yet. Oh my word. Oh my God. Okay. So the plan of getting a little bit of everything does not work when there is 700s of everything.
Finally, I got to dig in, starting with these bright pink pickled eggs, a traditional Amish eat.
Look at that. It's not as bad as some of the people I've watched on YouTube expressed. It's very vinegary, but I think it's just the color, man. Like, to see an egg that's literally as pink as flesh, it's a little jarring, and I don't know if I can get past that. Okay, so the fried chicken, look at that. Now that, crispy. God, that's good. Best thing I've eaten all day, bar none. Best thing. Wow. No wonder he knows he's handsome. We're gonna try this pulled pork.
The barbecue pork and Cajun catfish were decent. The mac and cheese?
That's actually really good. The brisket! 7 people said this brisket was like the only thing to get here, all right? Not to say my expectations are like to the moon, but they're high. No, just a little dry. Good chicken wings. Good chicken wings, good fried chicken, good fried shrimp. Oh, the mashed potatoes! So it's like a creamier version of what you would get out of a box, I think. I mean, for the amount of food that you can get, like, I feel like the quantity alone is kind of worth it.
So we tried the Chinese buffet, we tried Golden Corral, and we were comparing both of them, and we realized how bad the actual food is at both of them. And then when you come over here though, this place is actually decent. It tastes more like real food. I'll definitely come back, yeah. This is my 3rd time like the past two months.
We came one time and that was it.
Yeah, that was it.
And now we look forward to coming every week.
I love this place.
By 5:30 p.m., the line has wrapped around the lobby and out the door. Like all buffets, Shady Maple works on thin margins, but this volume has kept it afloat. It sees 3 times more traffic than a Golden Corral in the area, and 15 times that of a local CC's. And because of that giant line, each platter of food is turned over quickly, within 20 minutes.
That does alleviate some of the food safety issues because you're turning things over so quickly, nothing sits around for too long.
But when we look at like the decay of the American buffet, I feel like this doesn't even sit in the same category.
Shady Maple has found its niche. It's not only the largest buffet in America, it's also leaned into the allure of the Amish country around it, focusing on home-style Pennsylvania Dutch food and touting local eats like that scrapple and mush.
And I think the reason that this place has endured is like food aside, it's the experience.
With a gift shop and a grocery store looming behind the buffet, Shady Maple has become a destination.
They become rare enough to be novel again, right? And people will go to Amish country and say, oh, let's go to Shady Maple, because who the hell has one of these in their neighborhood anymore?
This century-old factory runs 24/7, supplying bread for hundreds of New York City's corner store delis.
We get a chopped cheese on a hero.
Everything on it, I got you, bro.
Thank you, bro.
50% of your sandwich is your bread. So if you don't have good bread, might as well just close up.
But these corner store delis, commonly called bodegas, are under growing pressure.
Deli's a home away from home, literally. I spent so many hours just in my deli when I'm mad at my parents or something.
Retail rents in parts of the city have surged since 2019, pushing some bodega owners to raise prices.
The people who unfortunately feel the brunt of it are the people who can't afford it. People who've lived in these communities.
Competition is also fierce. Some neighborhoods have 23 bodegas for every supermarket.
You can't be doing the same thing as everybody else and thinking you're gonna make a buck.
You gotta be born for this. You gotta be bred for this. It's like a 42-inch screen live TV for me every day. You got your common crooks that are trying to steal while they're talking to you.
Now, Mayor Zohran Mamdani is pushing to open city-run grocery stores, which could put more pressure on bodegas.
We're talking about a way of life that the city-run markets may actually impact.
So how does one bakery supply so many bodegas? And with rents soaring and rivals on every block, what does it take for a corner store to survive? La Nicosia's has been slinging out its famous Italian breads for over 100 years. Joseph and his brother took over the bakery from their dad in 2016.
He actually didn't want us in the business. I think he realized that I had a passion for what I was doing.
All of their bread starts here in the flour room. Every week, 50,000 pounds arrive by truck, funneled into a steel silo.
So if you hear up here, it's empty. But as I come down here, the sound changes. We have flour to about right here.
Next, it's pumped upstairs and added to the dough for 100 kinds of bread. They still follow the method their great-grandfather brought with him from Sicily.
Long fermentation, a lot of water. When it's ready, it makes a certain sound or it has a certain smoothness to it.
This machine stamps the signature star pattern onto the bakery's most popular roll with corner store delis, the Kaiser roll.
People that think of bacon, egg, and cheese, and they think of a Kaiser roll. If you go to other states, they don't have bread like that.
After shaping, rising, and baking, the rolls are trucked over to customers from Michelin star restaurants to corner store delis.
Without people like them, a bakery like mine would never get to where it got.
Zoom Zoom Deli in the Bronx is one of La Nicosia's top customers, ordering up to 2,000 rolls a week.
50% of your sandwich is your bread. If you don't have good bread, might as well just close up.
Mohammed Al-Baradi and his family opened the business in 2017.
What's up, buddy? Let me get a chopped cheese on a hero.
Everything on it, I got you, bro.
Thank you, bro. It's a walking city, right? Let me get a bacon and a cheese as you're running out of the Bodega Deli trying to catch your train. Fire. Seasoned well, super cheesy. This chopped cheese on point.
Kel Murphy has been going to corner stores since he was a kid. The Queens native grew up working in his parents' bodega.
My parents actually met in a bodega. My uncles would joke I was born in, my parents' bodega, even joke that I was conceived in the bodega.
Today, Kel helps beverage brands break into New York City retailers, including bodegas.
Space is finite. Their margins are super thin, so you have to give them the ultimate deal, right? You're gonna make a good sales margin because I'm gonna give you X amount of cases free. We don't have big box stores like Walmart or too many Targets. So, if you're selling well in the bodega, you can sell well in a supermarket.
Most New York delis are independently owned, so Kel has to go door to door.
Bodega deli owner is always gonna listen to what their customer wants.
He also started learning Arabic because roughly half of the city's corner stores are owned by Yemenis. But Kel doesn't consider all corner stores bodegas.
If the person behind the register is not Puerto Rican or Dominican, chances are it's not a bodega.
Puerto Rican and Cuban immigrants started opening bodegas in the 1920s. The name comes from the Spanish word for wine cellar or warehouse.
It has become part of the Latino experience in the US. It was a place where you can get the pastelitos.
Juan Carlos Polanco is an attorney who grew up in the Bronx. Many of his clients are bodega owners, also known as bodegueros.
There's a 100% chance that bodeguero knows your name, knows your first girlfriend, knows your parents, knows what school you're in.
By 1970, New York City had over 7,000 bodegas and the largest Puerto Rican population in the mainland US. Immigrants from the Dominican Republic began opening them too. Many operated in neighborhoods where supermarkets were few and far between.
People in that community that they're serving are in high net worth. Perhaps they were concerned about crime in the community. The bodega owners took the risk. Others would never even think about investing.
More than 1 million New Yorkers live in food deserts, neighborhoods with limited access to full-service grocery stores, according to the city. Mayor Zohran Mamdani has proposed a $70 million plan to build 5 city-run markets, which could operate rent and tax-free to help keep prices low. But many of these food deserts are already home to dozens of bodegas.
I challenge anyone to go to bodega. You will see produce. These small mom and pop bodegas, they were operating on very small margins. And now you are going to put a city-run market that will be directly in competition with that mom and pop.
The city says the markets would make nutritious food more accessible. For Latin bodega owners, the pressure isn't new. Many, like Kel's parents, have already sold their businesses.
To the next immigrant class who is not afraid of hard work and not afraid to, chase that American dream. So my dad grinded and busted his ass in the bodega. My mom grinded and busted her ass so her kids can do other things. I always say, La Bodega sells dreams, right? So we can chase ours.
But some owners, like Francisco Suriel, are keeping the Latin bodega alive.
It's a dying breed, I'm not gonna lie. 5 miles, I'm probably the only Spanish store around here.
Why is it a dying breed?
You gotta be born for this, you gotta be bred for this.
He purchased Hollis Flavors in 2007.
My family's always been in bodegas. We've been in stores since like 1984. I was born and raised in stores. It's a show every day. It's like a 42-inch screen live TV for me every day. You got your common crooks that are trying to steal while they're talking to you. One piece? I've thought about selling a million times. I mean, it's like, what the hell would I do after? I'm like, nah, I'm good. What's going on?
For the new wave of bodega owners, beating the competition often starts behind the grill.
You can easily film yourself making some, crazy sandwich, right? And then it just goes viral. Everyone wants to try it.
Hey, yo, chef.
What can I get for you, kid?
Let me get a Wagyu chopped cheese and my big Jell-O-sized pita bread.
I call it the bodega culinary explosion.
Joshua Dat is second-generation Guyanese American and opened Dat's Deli in 2022. He created a viral sandwich that transformed the business overnight, and it now brings in 75% of its revenue.
So when I first got the deli, everyone's like, yo, you're getting a deli and you're gonna sell Caribbean food. There's Caribbean food everywhere and there's delis everywhere. You're double smacking yourself. I'm like, no, I'm not, because I'm gonna do it different.
I was only making $200-300 a day at first. So I kept making different things and nothing is hitting though. One night I was just hungry and I love cheese in my beef patties. My dad used all the cheese for the mac and cheese that day to sell in the store. I was upset. So I said, you know what? It has cheese in the mac and cheese. I'm gonna throw it inside the beef patty. I cut it open and I looked at it. I looked at my baby sister. I said, yo, Jenny, we're going viral. This is it.
She said, nobody's gonna eat a beef patty with macaroni and cheese, Joshua.
I said, Jenny, post this on Instagram right now. The next morning, I have 2 people that come into the store. Hey, are you guys the place that sells, they showed me the beef patty with macaroni and cheese. I started shaking. I didn't even know what to sell it for. I was like, yeah, I got you.
Soon after, Joshua began paying influencers up to $800 to stop by and try the sandwich. Lines grew out the door, and people from all over the world came to try it. Within a month of the sandwich going viral, Joshua's family quit their jobs to help run the shop.
Good job, girl.
You know, you work hard your whole life, right? Why not work hard for yourself? Why not make sure that he wins?
It was days me and my brother, we falling asleep in the kitchen, waking up. My brother's still in the kitchen sleeping. I'm here serving customers.
He started cooking up variations of the mac patty, adding oxtail gravy or curry goat.
Thank God for the mac patty, because if I didn't have it, I probably would have closed down in a year or two, you know?
But the price of oxtail keeps going up, so Joshua started charging $6 more for each mac patty. He makes about $2 per sandwich, so staying afloat depends on volume. On a good day, he can sell 600 of them.
Damn. The hype is real.
I'm still hitting in it.
People are very serious about their oxtail. They're serious about their mac and cheese. Hell, even the beef patty. And this joint all comes together in a symphony of flavors. It's decadent.
This is just a sandwich that I literally crave. Like I'm going out of my way to get that sandwich.
Thanks to the mac patty, Dat's is now licensed as a restaurant, but Josh will always keep deli in the name.
It's not gonna just become Dat's. It's always gonna be Dat's Deli. It's my roots.
Despite rising costs and growing competition, New York City corner stores and the suppliers that keep them stocked are hanging on.
A deli close to its community is always gonna win over anything else. And in New York, people love their blocks, their neighborhoods.
When you think of New York, you think of bodega, you think of pizza, you think of bread, you think of hard rolls and bagels. So the bodega is like the quintessential go-to.
Bodegas have become universal. Bodega owners have opened up social media accounts and are speaking directly to everyone who's watching their videos and letting them know this is, a bodega sandwich. This is a bodega cat. It's never been as big as it is today.
Bodegas have become such a core part of New York life that you might just find a local celebrity outside of one.
J. Cole is on his tour for the fall off, making random stops, selling CDs. J. Cole would always come to this deli to get sandwiches, so anytime he's in Queens, he always comes to 179 Deli.
Jell-O has starred in some of the 1950s most infamous recipes.
It was being served at tea parties and card parties.
It's beloved in what's known as the Jell-O belt and continues to be slurped down by college students across the country. But despite its brand recognition, sales have been slipping for decades, dropping more than $371 million between 2009 and 2018. So, what happened? Before the pre-packaged boxes and colorful jiggling cups we've come to recognize as Jell-O, gelatin was served in the Middle Ages. Gelatin is made of collagen, and early recipes involved melting and filtering pigs' ears and feet. It eventually became a status symbol because you needed to have access to a lot of meat to have enough bones to boil. You also needed a large staff to do it, and somewhere cool to store the gelatin so it could set properly. The jiggling dish was served to European royalty, and it eventually made its way across the Atlantic to the United States. Soon, people were looking for an easier and faster way to make gelatin. But early attempts just didn't taste that great. However, one instant gelatin product would quickly become a staple in American households. Invented in the tiny town of Leroy, New York by struggling cough syrup maker Pearl Waite and his wife May, Jell-O combined gelatin with sugary fruit syrups, which made it sweeter than other instant gelatin products. But the small-town couple didn't know how to market Jell-O. So in 1899, they sold the patent for $450, the equivalent of almost $14,000 today, to orator Frank Woodward of the Genesee Pure Food Company. Just 3 years later, Jell-O sales rose to $250,000, or $7.4 million today. Jell-O found its success in a series of highly strategic and successful advertising campaigns. It printed its own recipes, showing and teaching consumers all the different ways they could serve Jell-O in a meal, which generated demand for the product. The company commissioned cookbooks and advertisements from American artist Norman Rockwell, who created colorful drawings of Jell-O in family-friendly settings. This helped to establish the company's wholesome reputation. In 1923, the Genesee Pure Food Company changed its name to the Jell-O Company. 2 years later, the Jell-O Company became part of a larger food empire, which would eventually become General Foods Corporation. When the Great Depression hit, recipe books promoted Jell-O as an affordable food option, highlighting its ability to preserve foods and transform just a few ingredients into a satisfying meal. And during World War II, Jell-O salads became a creative way to put meals together with rationed goods. Convenience also began to play a bigger role in the meals people prepared.
In World War II, when you had many more women mobilized in the workforce and people were looking for something easy, it was probably much easier to just make some Jell-O and stick it in the fridge for the next day than to try and bake a cake or make a pie when fat was rationed.
And in the post-war era, elaborate Jell-O salads became a popular choice for home events like dinner parties.
These were sort of public events in a private space, so it was important that you impressed your guests.
But the qualities that once made Jell-O a staple in American homes started to backfire.
While Jell-O's low price point made it accessible during hard times like the Great Depression, its cheapness also degraded gelatin's once glamorous reputation. Not to mention, Jell-O's association with wartime rations made it less than appealing to consumers who no longer had to stretch out ingredients. So by the 50s, gelatin was seen as something to stick leftovers in, or serve to kids. And by the 70s, Jell-O sales began to decline. In response to its slipping sales, Jell-O hired comedian and actor Bill Cosby as a spokesperson in 1974. The partnership is one of the longest celebrity endorsements in American advertising history, lasting 29 years. At the time, Cosby's endorsement helped boost sales, but Jell-O took a hit as it ramped up production of its pre-packaged single-serve cups. It was seen as a snack food for children, something served in a school cafeteria or in a hospital, not a filling meal for a family. Tobacco conglomerate Philip Morris bought General Foods in 1985, and in 1989 merged it with Kraft Incorporated, creating Kraft General Foods. When the low-fat diet trend emerged in the 80s and 90s, Kraft tried to market Jell-O as a diet food with fat-free flavors to keep up.
So in the 80s, there were all of these products where manufacturers were trying to take away the fat and then add a bunch of preservatives and other ingredients and sugars to make the food still palatable without fat.
But for Jell-O, doing this wasn't enough to turn things around. Instead, it now had the added reputation of being a diet food,
which only increased in the early 2000s as Jell-O pivoted to promoting its sugar-free products to take advantage of the Atkins diet craze. When that didn't help bounce sales back, Jell-O attempted to play up its family-friendly reputation. And although consumers had embraced Jell-O during the Great Depression as a way to cut costs, the Great Recession didn't seem to have the same effect. From 2009 to 2014, Jell-O sales declined by double digits, falling from $932.5 million to $692 million.
So Jell-O is basically the opposite of what consumers are looking for right now. It looks artificial, its ingredients are unrecognizable, it has a bunch of added sugar, and even though it's fat-free, we all know now that that is not necessarily healthier.
So, is this the end?
If Jell-O wanted to make a comeback, I think it's pretty impossible if their aim is to appeal to those looking for more natural foods. It would have to basically turn into something other than Jell-O.
But despite its falling sales numbers, Jell-O remains popular in places like Salt Lake City and the surrounding area, otherwise known as the Jell-O Belt. The area has a large Mormon population, and Jell-O's wholesome family branding aligns with Mormon values. Jell-O even became the official snack food of Utah in 2001. And the trading pin for the 2002 Salt Lake City Winter Olympics was a bowl of green Jell-O. And Kraft Foods still believes in the brand. Kraft sent Business Insider this statement, saying, Jell-O is an iconic brand with very high brand recognition. We're always looking to keep the brand relevant. The company also encourages people to get creative with Jell-O recipes on social media, which feels like a return to Jell-O's origins, when the company would print recipes to teach confused housewives what to do with this strange new product. It's also trying to connect with new generations by selling edible Jell-O slime for kids. So while Jell-O may no longer be the star of as many meals as it used to be, it's still alive and jiggling.
Christopher Ranch processes about 12 billion cloves of garlic a year, making it the biggest producer in the United States. Workers clean, peel, and pack all of it at this massive warehouse in Gilroy, California.
As you can see, there's not a vampire to be seen.
Garlic ripens once a year and rots fast, so workers have just a few weeks to dig it all up.
When it comes to garlic, we have one shot, and that's all going to be done by hand.
The company is one of the last U.S. garlic producers. Most shut down when cheaper Chinese garlic began flooding the market in the 1990s. So how has Christopher Ranch survived the influx of imported, cheap garlic? And how did it help turn what was once considered a niche ingredient into one of the most popular vegetables in the U.S.? Christopher Ranch produces more than half of all garlic grown in the United States. Here, its crops span an area about half the size of Manhattan.
In other words, 1 billion bulbs of garlic.
That's Ken Christopher, grandson of the original Christopher, who gave the ranch its name in 1956, when he first started growing garlic on just 10 acres.
Garlic is an asexual plant. It's essentially a clone of itself year after year. You're going to be guaranteed to have the same flavor profile throughout the decades. And so today we can enjoy the same Italian, bold, zesty flavor that my grandfather first selected 60 years ago.
They plant all of it in November. Bulbs grow underground over the span of 9 months. Once they're ready, farmers have about a month to dig everything up by hand. Machines would rip the garlic's thin layers of skin, making it harder to sell and quicker to rot.
There simply is no automated process. The hand selection process remains the best.
They'll ripen between June and August, so the company hires an extra 3,000 workers for just those few months. American farmers often struggle to recruit people for this work, so the ranch hires workers from Mexico on temporary agricultural visas.
One problem you're going to find with a lot of farmers in this area is labor. How can we possibly get enough people to produce the food that Americans eat?
And it takes hundreds more hands at giant warehouses like these to get produce like garlic store ready.
It's critical to get it into one of these rooms as fast as we can. Did I get it off the railing? Each one of 100 million pounds, wherever they're grown in California, all come home to here.
Workers wheel it all in these 2,000-pound bins. It's 90 degrees in here. Heat loosens up the skins, so these scraps can fall off. Then, the garlic goes onto this conveyor belt.
Because garlic is a root crop, sometimes you're going to have some staining all around the skins, and it's our job to make it give that perfect appearance that you're used to at the market.
Ken runs sales for the ranch and checks that all the bulbs look packaged pretty.
The crew's job is to go through and physically clean every single one of these bulbs.
Every day, workers inspect about 200,000 pounds worth. Then, machines sort the bulbs into 7 groups, depending on their size. The smallest bulbs fall through these tight chains. As the links get bigger, they let in bigger bulbs.
You're going to have the largest bulbs coming here on the left lanes, and as we go to the middle lanes, we'll have the middle-sized bulbs, and on the far right, we're going to have the smallest bulbs that we're going to pack for our customers.
Restaurants usually go for the big ones. Those have larger cloves. They're easier to chop into finer pieces and give chefs more control over how garlicky their food tastes.
Different customers require different kinds of garlic. Some customers want very large bulbs. Some customers want smaller bulbs and sleeves. Some customers want garlic in display trays. Some customers want their garlic in 30-pound boxes.
But only the smoothest, cleanest bulbs will make it into the shipments that leave this warehouse. Christopher Ranch says that's only about 60% of all the garlic they harvest. The rest will get processed in another room, but we'll get back to that. Another crew checks for any lingering dirty skin that might make the bulbs less valuable.
And then essentially the final part is they're just cleaning and then it goes into a box. And this is going to be found at retailers starting next week.
About 5% of the garlic Christopher Ranch produces leaves the country, going to Canada, Japan, Mexico, or New Zealand. All the rest stays in the US.
Our business model split into retail, food service, and industrial.
The company ships these boxes off to major chains like Costco, Kroger, Trader Joe's, and Safeway across all 50 states.
In some of our relationships with companies like Blue Apron, they've mentioned that garlic is the one constant they have in every single box of product they ship out nationwide.
On a typical day, they'll fill 7 semi-trucks with garlic. But things were different when Ken's grandfather started the company in 1956, when he only sold to a produce market in San Francisco.
When he started, he was almost a joke in town. Garlic was very much a niche crop, a niche vegetable.
The kind of garlic that's popular in the US today was brought over by Spanish explorers in the 1500s. But it wasn't until Italian immigrants came to California in the late 1800s that the crop found its home in Gilroy. Well into the 1950s, it was mostly popular among immigrant communities that faced discrimination. Only niche markets carried the vegetable, and it stayed out of the mainstream for decades. Things started to change in the late 80s, when American scientists confirmed the ingredient was really good for you. It contains a natural antibiotic called allicin, which can help prevent blood clots. Garlic became newsworthy, and its popularity continued to grow.
So you take a whole garlic head like that, and it takes a long time to take each clove off and peel it.
America's gotten a whole lot more diverse. So as America's cultural palates become more diverse, garlic's moved from being very side plate to being center plate.
In the 1990s, garlic finally became one of the most produced crops in America. The only problem was that the white skins stain easily, so a lot of it was hard to sell because Americans wouldn't buy bulbs that didn't look perfect. That's where Ken's grandfather Don saw an opportunity.
Because garlic is so time and labor intensive to grow, we want to find a home for every single pound.
Christopher Ranch was the first company in America to sell the crop peeled. They invented this machine that could peel hundreds of cloves in minutes and produce garlic Americans were willing to pay 50% more for. It gave the ranch an edge over its American competitors. Within the first few years, peeled garlic accounted for 10% of Christopher Ranch's revenue. Today, their machines peel more than 1 million pounds of garlic every week. First, the bruised up bulbs go into these giant drums called crackers, which use rubber rollers to break them down into cloves. Then, a 60-person crew sorts them again, chucking out the completely rotten ones. And the pretty guys? They go into a special room. Giant machines portion the cloves into cups and blast them with compressed air. Most peelers do that at around 116 pounds per square inch. That's about 3 to 4 times the air pressure of a car tire. Machines whip the garlic around at 1,200 revolutions per minute, and those stubborn shells fly right off. They upgrade their machines every few years. Their newest one can peel 100,000 pounds of garlic in an 8-hour shift.
These computers can identify which cloves are going to be okay for our final pack. They're going to identify where the gross defects are. They're going to identify sunburn. And using automation, we can fire small streams of air, kick out the bad cloves, and let the good ones go by. In effect, saving a whole lot on labor costs.
Today, peeled garlic accounts for 40% of the company's revenue. But Ken says they've constantly looked for new ways to keep up with growing competition from China. The US started to import cheap garlic from China shortly after the Cold War. But Chinese bulbs sold for almost 50% less than American ones. The US government accused Chinese producers of trying to gain a monopoly by selling garlic for less than what it takes to grow it, also known as dumping. By the mid-90s, Christopher Ranch sales had fallen by half, and the company started laying off workers. The US government tried to control it with anti-dumping duties in 1994. But Chinese imports continued, and by 2004, the US was importing over half of the garlic it consumed. Between 2001 and 2005, Christopher Ranch had slashed the land it farmed by 40%. And during this period, the US garlic industry was losing an estimated $600 million to Chinese imports. Meanwhile, in China, garlic was beating gold stocks, becoming the country's most lucrative asset.
Before the 1990s, nearly all the garlic consumed in America was grown in America. There used to be 12 commercial garlic growers in the country. Now we're down to 3.
And Ken often spoke about it, even on TV, as seen in this clip.
He's just back from Washington, D.C., where he lobbied to help win a new 10% tariff on Chinese garlic.
One of the hardest things I've ever done was actually going to D.C. and testifying and offering evidence that the Chinese continue to impact and negatively hurt the domestic garlic industry.
In 2018, then US President Donald Trump imposed a 10% tariff on garlic coming from China. That tariff rose to 25% in 2019, and President Biden has kept them in place. In the past decade, China imports dropped overall, but the country remains America's main foreign supplier.
Tariffs are applied before it even enters the country, so we found that they were incredibly effective.
Keeping the company profitable has required constant innovation, though. Over the years, they've launched dozens of new products that Americans would pay more for, like minced, crushed, pickled, or chopped garlic.
We've really had to upgrade our skill set in that respect. You're not always going to get perfect bulbs like the one you see here. We try to use every piece that we can.
And this facility churns out 100,000 pounds of roasted garlic every week, accounting for 5% of the company's sales.
We're going to have a 2-sided convection oven, heat up the garlic to about 250 degrees. You can kind of see through a layer of garlic.
Then they put it on these fans for 30 minutes.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I didn't think we were going. It goes into this cooler next.
It gets the temperature down to about 40 degrees Fahrenheit, which helps make the garlic shelf stable and ready to ship across the country. They pack some of it into these 30-pound boxes and send it off to their warehouse to store. Their robots can portion out and seal up to 500 packages every hour. In a single day, Christopher Ranch cranks out about 200,000 pounds of garlic. They also sell garlic skins to local farmers as animal feed.
Some of our garlic may not be perfect for restaurants, and so we're going to find a new home for it.
But Ken says, to stay competitive, they also had to sell Chinese garlic, but not under the Christopher Ranch name. And the packaging doesn't say grown in California, like these boxes do.
If you want to zoom on this, this is kind of the most important.
In 2018, a Netflix documentary, Rotten, accused the company of selling Chinese garlic peeled by prisoners under its own name. Christopher Ranch has denied those allegations.
They made a critical mistake This is a streaming and living thing that continues to impact our brand and our business. We are an ethical company. We're a company that strives to be the best, and we only work with suppliers that bring it into this country and that have the same certifications and documentations that we'd expect of our garlic.
Today, Chinese garlic accounts for about 8 to 10% of the company's revenue. But American garlic is still the choice of all chefs who participate in the California Garlic Festival, one of the biggest garlic fairs in the U.S.
Ooh, garlic.
Julie Linesberg has been the head chef of the event since 2022. She bought 300 pounds of garlic from Christopher Ranch to prepare food for 3 days.
California garlic is a bit sweeter. When you flip it over, if you see that brown, hairy bottom, you know it's out of our ground, our beautiful soil. If it's nice and bleached and flat, you know it came from somewhere else very, very far away.
Julie runs a team of 40 kitchen staff at the official festival tent.
Let's open it all the way. So when they get here, it's a fast process.
She got here at 6:30 in the morning to prep before thousands of festival goers start arriving at noon.
No frying, we have no customers. Everything's gotta be fresh, fresh, fresh.
All day, they'll prepare nothing but the 2 signature dishes created by Julie herself, garlic fries and garlic bread. It may sound simple, but she's thought of every detail carefully.
Our special concoction, and then they will put parm and or bacon.
Julie uses 200 pounds of Parmesan, imported only from Italy.
Make sure we're getting some of this from the bottom, okay?
How much garlic is in that?
A lot? Can I say a lot? So this is where the garlic bread happens. We're toasting it on a charbroiler.
In 3 days, they go through about 600 loaves of soft French bread from a local bakery and 300 pounds of butter.
Once it gets nice and toasty, it comes over here and it gets dipped in this special concoction that smells just a little bit like garlic. It's garlic and butter and some other things.
She uses pre-minced garlic she buys from Christopher Ranch as a base and adds some fresh ground on top.
And then we wrap it, and here's an order of garlic bread. Smell-o-vision, I don't know if the camera captures that, but. Then we'll run it by the boss, make sure it's the right size for it.
Every new batch needs to be approved by Tony Nocetti, the organizer of the festival.
Little spot.
Tony's in charge of the garlic pesto pasta, a recipe he learned from his Italian grandmother.
This ain't McDonald's here. This is Nonna stuff back at the ranch in the old days, you know? So I enjoy cooking, and that way I get to eat it.
Tony farms walnuts, but everyone here knows him as the guy who saved the Garlic Festival in California.
We had heard a few years ago that the Garlic Festival was going to close, and it's been the longest running festival here in California. Well, that's when I stepped in and said, we're going to continue to keep the Garlic Festival alive.
The city of Gilroy used to run the largest garlic festival, but decided to drop it in 2022. 3 years earlier, a mass shooting at the festival caused insurance rates to spike, and the COVID-19 pandemic slashed turnout in 2020, a year after that.
It was a legacy that we thought we couldn't let go. I mean, it's just part of our life cycle here in California, and we believe in local business, local products. That's very important, keeping our local economies going.
Though this is technically a different festival, Tony invested more than $500,000 out of his own pocket to continue the tradition near its former home in Gilroy.
It's important for agriculture, the community, the people. There's so many people involved in agriculture throughout California and throughout the world. Julie, wave to the camera. Without her, this wouldn't go. She gives me orders, and I think I'm the boss now. She's the boss in the kitchen.
This year, nearly 16,000 people attended the festival, more than double the attendance in 2023.
Cali Garlic Alley is open for business. Follow the smell. Garlic fries, garlic bread, and how about some garlic pasta? Garlic, garlic, garlic.
That's how I grew up as in a Filipino family. My mom cooks everything with garlic, so.
And it keeps the vampires away.
Yeah. Great.
About 150 vendors from all over the state signed up, using California garlic on chicken.
All right, here's the magic. More garlic.
Pork.
Our famous pork belly.
And even honey and butter.
Would you guys like to try a free sample?
We like it.
It would be a sad, sad place to be without garlic. Yes, Mama. Oh, I'm adding it right now.
One vendor here even puts garlic in ice cream.
Ice cream, garlic ice cream.
It's different. Yeah. He's Italian, so they eat a lot of garlic. And in my culture, which is Cambodian, we eat a lot of garlic too. But to infuse it into an ice cream, it's amazing. I love it. And I'm not sharing.
Okay. But some festival goers told us it wasn't just about buying local.
It's amazing. It has healing properties. It's very good for your body. It acts like an antibiotic.
I garlic in the morning, in the afternoon. So I have to be careful when I'm engaging with people. Because they'll smell the garlic before they see me.
Ken says these are the customers who will keep the business going.
We're finding that Americans want the safest and healthiest product for them and their family.
Christopher Ranch has its own tent here, selling minced, peeled, and organic bulbs. The company used to supply all the garlic for the original festival back in Gilroy, since co-founding it in 1979. Nowadays, other producers participate too, but Ken says organic only recently became a trend here.
About 10 years ago, we started really investing in our organic program, and since then we've scaled up.
They started off with about 1 million pounds of organic garlic, which was grown without pesticides, fertilizers, or hormones. That often means producing it takes more work, and the garlic has a greater chance at rotting, which is part of what makes organic more expensive. But Americans have been buying more of it anyway. Today, Christopher Ranch grows 15 million pounds of organic garlic, about 20% of its annual crop.
We found that to be our best profit margin center. As inflation goes up, as the cost of labor goes up, as we have more scarcity for land and water, really pivoting towards organics and a more high-end heirloom program is going to be the path forward.
As for the produce Christopher Ranch doesn't sell during the harvest season,
each one of the rooms behind me, we're going to store millions of pounds of garlic from our harvest. And as you can see, we have garlic that was harvested at the end of June of 2023. So last week, we just opened up the room behind me, and the garlic is every good as you could hope for. The garlic you see here essentially goes to sleep for 12 months.
They can pull garlic from here all year.
You can remove the oxygen from the room, lower the temperature, and keep your product safe.
But Ken says farming is always a gamble. Over the past decade, droughts in California have made it harder to grow in the area. And Silicon Valley is expanding, making land a lot more expensive than it used to be. Meanwhile, America's appetite for garlic is still growing. The country consumed over $4.5 billion worth in 2023. And Ken says, regardless of how or where his ranch harvests it, he's confident homegrown garlic will never go away.
How important is garlic to your family?
Garlic means nothing to me. Garlic is a part of our DNA. It's part of our culture. It's part of who we are. It's an inspiration for our whole family.
This is the oldest cymbal business in the world. The Avedis Zildjian Company has crafted cymbals for the Sultan of the Ottoman Empire, American troops during World War II, and the Beatles.
When you think of the sound of a cymbal, there's a very good chance what you're hearing in your head is a Zildjian cymbal.
For 400 years, the company has been instrumental in the evolution of music, developing the cymbals used in modern drum sets. Today, it's the world's leading cymbal maker.
We're really responsible for the entire modern cymbal industry.
I've been playing these cymbals my whole musical life.
The key to its sound? An alloy-making process the Zildjian family has kept secret for centuries. Craigie Zildjian is continuing her family's legacy as the 14th generation president of the business.
The word Zildjian means son of a cymbal maker.
So how did Zildjian become one of the most influential instrument brands in the world? We travelled to Massachusetts to see how, after 4 centuries, this business is still standing. Behind these doors, craftsmen forge Zildjian's secret alloy from copper, tin, and silver. But not even the man who shapes the cymbals knows the recipe.
I have no idea how they do it. I just know it's the best metal in the world for cymbal making. So
1,000 metal castings are made every day. And Alan Levitt sorts and weighs each of them. Even at this early stage, he can hear any issues with the metal.
Wow, but listen for the ringtone. Yeah, you can hear it yourself when I hear it. They possess quite the ringtone.
The ones that pass inspection go into the oven to be reheated. This loader can feed up to 240 castings every hour.
We used to have those long rakes that you put the pies into the oven. That's really a strain on their back.
After 30 minutes, the metal is about 900 degrees Fahrenheit and soft enough to be rolled. Once they've cooled, the castings go back into the oven for 30 to 40 minutes. This process of heating and rolling is repeated multiple times until the castings are as thin as a credit card. And it hasn't changed much since at least the 19th century. Next, the cymbals head to the cupping machine, which will shape the bell. The bigger the bell, the more the instrument will project, and the longer it will ring. Joe Pillai has worked in almost every step of production in his 29 years here.
I love working with my hands and I love music. It's kind of like my way of giving back, you know.
He uses a blanking press to cut the cymbals to the correct size.
All of the extra metal goes into our scrap printer and it all gets recycled.
Then, it's time for hammering. The first step that really begins to change the sound.
It more or less controls the shape and it regulates the sound waves going through.
The impact hammer creates dents at precise points and can apply different pressure throughout. The rotary hammer creates a circular pattern with consistent pressure. Both machines affect the pitch and tone. The cymbal gets its signature umbrella shape in the forming press. The deeper the curve, the higher the pitch. Then it's time for Joe's favourite moment: lathing.
Lathing's where the magic really happens, I think. Different type of lathing, different type of sound.
The shaper scrapes off layers of metal as the cymbal spins. It also cuts small tonal grooves in a circular pattern. Deeper and sharper grooves create more sustain, affecting how long the cymbal will ring out. Joe tapers the cymbal down, making the weight even. He has to be careful not to apply too much pressure, or he risks overworking the cymbal and making it too thin.
You're always troubleshooting. I think you're just trying to figure out how to make the cymbal perfect, you know. That's what I love about it.
Finally, he removes any imperfections with a grinder. Then, this machine smooths out the edges. But they aren't ready just yet. Each cymbal needs to be tested. Joe works closely with Guy Carter, the manager of innovation, to test 200 in half an hour.
At this stage, we're just looking really for major visual and sound defects. You know instantly if it's a good cymbal or a bad cymbal. It's when they're questionable that you really dig into it and debate it. Well, this one was overworked. You could see the rippling.
Yeah. With an acceptable ranges between here and here. So this is the standard. Those are almost identical. So this is considered conforming. This would pass.
Each cymbal is then cleaned by hand. And finally, coated with a polyurethane solution.
Mostly to protect against fingerprinting.
Zildjian has sold as many as 1 million cymbals worldwide in a year. They can cost between $90 and $4,000 each. But even with its global success, Zildjian still operates as a family-owned business.
You can go inside.
This room holds some of the earliest Zildjian cymbals made in America.
We call this the family vault. Some of these fingerprints belong to my grandfather or my father and some of the cymbal testers.
Craigie is the 14th generation Zildjian to run the company. She was the first woman to become CEO in 1999. Today, she works as president.
I never thought I would end up in the family business. It was really just for the male members. These are heavy.
A select few cymbals were gifted to some of the world's most famous drummers.
So we gave one of these to Ringo, and we had to do something so it could adapt to his hardware. But this is very old looking.
The family's story begins way back in 1618 in the Ottoman Empire, in what is now Istanbul. The company's founder, Avedis I, was an Armenian smith who worked for the Sultan, making cymbals for the military band. While trying to make gold, he discovered a bronze alloy that made the instrument stronger but thinner, with a clearer sound. He founded the company in 1623, and it thrived for centuries. The 12th generation owner, Avedis III, moved to America in the early 1900s. He was Craigie's grandfather.
If he had stayed in Turkey, that was not a good place to be for an Armenian.
The factory officially relocated to Quincy, Massachusetts, just a month before the Great Depression hit in 1929. But as the economic crisis took hold, so did a new style of American music.
It was the beginning of the jazz era, which was here.
Zildjian created cymbals for jazz legends like Gene Krupa, Chick Webb, and Joe Jones. Avedis III worked directly with them to develop new cymbals like the ride, the hi-hat, and the crash. Those gave drummers more range and freedom, and were crucial for the evolution of music.
It became the basis for cymbals as we know them today.
This collaborative tradition continued with Craigie's father in the following decades.
The ideas really just kind of flourished as my dad was there, testing cymbals in front of them. All the top drummers of the day, and we'd gain their input. Louis, Elvin, and Roy. Here's my dad. This was my dad's drum kit. I've left this as it was when he was here, when this was his office.
In the 1940s, the company provided cymbals for American and British troops during World War II. But it was the Beatles' first US performance that made Zildjian a household name. In February 1964, Ringo Starr used the company's cymbals during the band's appearance on The Ed Sullivan Show.
The Beatles, bring them on!
The Beatles changed everything. All of a sudden, we were back ordered because everyone wanted to start a band, a garage band.
From there, musicians from all genres were lining up to get one too.
Everything from the band and orchestra world, to marching, to jazz, to rock, to metal, to country, to everything in between.
By the mid-1980s, the company was the world's leading maker of cymbals with 40% of the market share. Today, it's made cymbals for drummers like Questlove, Travis Barker, and Anderson .Paak.
This is my dad here, yeah. My father always said we need to follow the music. So wherever the music leads us, that's how we track it, is through these musicians.
To this day, the company works closely with musicians to develop custom models tailored to their styles.
Artists are looking to express themselves. They're looking for, sometimes it's a sound, again, sometimes it's a tactile feel or response, sometimes it's an emotion.
It's why drummers like Omar Hakim only use cymbals made by Zildjian.
If I have identified a need for some instruments that I don't have in my arsenal at that moment, 11 times out of 10, they've got the solution. This is one of my favorite cymbals. It's called the K-Custom Hybrid Trash Smash.
He got his first set of Zildjians when he was just 8 and has exclusively used the company's cymbals for nearly 5 decades. Over the years, Omar has worked with artists like David Bowie, Madonna, Michael Jackson, and Miles Davis.
It's important to have a set of cymbals that resonates with the music that you're trying to create, speaks to you as a musician. When you blend the metal and the skins and the wood, and you create this tonal palette to kind of cover a full spectrum of sound.
Omar says, although other cymbal companies have popped up, Zildjian still sets the standard.
Even the old ones are the bar. And that's heavy when the entire industry is using your product as the example of what needs to be in the marketplace.
The next generation of Zildjians is already working to continue the family legacy.
Gen 15, they're all board members. Each generation is charged with revitalizing the business and adding something to it.
Craigie says that as long as music lives on, so will Zildjian.
There will always be music. I mean, music is part of our soul, right?
Since 1983, customers have flocked to Hooters for wings, beer, and the waitresses. And for decades, that combo seemed unstoppable. By the mid-2000s, Hooters had its own calendar, casino, and airline, and operated over 450 locations in nearly 30 countries. And the servers?
Sometimes we could walk away with stripper money.
But what most people don't realize is that Hooters wasn't one company. It was two. In 2025, the larger one filed for bankruptcy and closed dozens of restaurants.
They started making some changes that we warned them not to do.
Now, the original founders are stepping back in to try to rescue the brand. So how did one of America's most famous restaurants lose its mojo? We went to the original Hooters in Clearwater, Florida, and spoke with people who've been with the brand since the beginning.
I'm Lynn Austin. I'm Lynn Austin. I'm Lynn Austin. I'm the original Hooters girl.
Legend has it, this Steve Martin bit inspired the name Hooters.
And I believe it's derogatory to refer to a woman's breasts as jugs or golden bozos. And you should only refer to them as Hooters.
Hooters opened its doors in 1983.
When Hooters opened up, there were only really a few other places in the country serving chicken wings.
Ed Droste is one of the original founders. He and 5 other close friends set out to build a casual, family-friendly restaurant that would make you feel like you were at the beach.
We said, man, if we could combine that atmosphere and food with the fun and carefree environment all in one deal, we might have something there.
Except that at the time, none of them knew how to run a restaurant.
Most would claim we still don't.
They wanted to create the go-to spot for people to watch games, with beer and wings served by an all-female waitstaff.
When it comes to the Hooters girl, we collectively came to the point of that would be the star of the show. We just didn't realize how much.
Ed discovered Lynn when she won the 1983 Jose Cuervo Bikini Contest.
I bet my partners that I would hire the girl that won the bikini contest.
His secretary came running up with a soggy business card and said, my boss is going to open a restaurant and we would love for you to be, involved. And I'm like, yeah, right.
She went on every billboard and went on to be just pretty much internationally famous.
If you like what you see here on the outside, you're going to love what you'll see on the inside.
At the center of it all was the Hooters uniform, modeled after popular 80s athletic wear.
I tell people in the 80s, dolphin shorts were big, running was big.
It's sporty, and it connotes what we're trying to create, the beach.
So the uniforms, yes, they were revealing, but not to the point where you'd feel strange bringing a kid into the restaurant. That balance was really a big ingredient in their early success.
But in the early days, bringing in customers wasn't always sexy.
There's a chicken costume over here that out of desperation, I went out and stood around in traffic to wave people in. I saw a boat sunk that everybody on the causeway was driving by. I swam out and painted Hooters on that.
The founders also used their biggest asset to amplify the brand, Hooters Girls.
Hooters' success is completely due to marketing. It was off the wall. It was just everywhere.
It wasn't long before Hooters caught the attention of the restaurateur Hugh Connerty, who later helped develop Outback Steakhouse. In 1984, he struck a deal with the founders to take the brand nationwide. The deal gave the so-called Hooters Six the right to continue owning and operating locations in and around Tampa and Chicago under the name Hooters, Inc. And in exchange for a 3% royalty, Connerty could open branches everywhere else. Those would become part of what's now known as Hooters of America. Essentially, it created 2 chains, one owned by the founders, Hooters Inc., and the other by the franchisor, Hooters of America. But Connerty needed more financing to scale up. So he turned to his friend Bob Brooks, who is largely credited with the expansion.
But he also began to push Hooters in a more explicit direction, and that did create tension between the two sides.
As the chain grew, so did public interest in Hooters Girls. In 1986, the original founders had an idea to capitalize on that interest.
I don't think any other restaurant at the time had been doing calendars of their actual waitresses, and it just took us to a whole new level.
The calendar wasn't just a new source of revenue, it also attracted more talent to the brand.
It became a recruiting tool because girls knew that it could get them exposure. As the stores built out, we did calendar tours, we did pageants.
It's a connection that's hard to explain because we are treated as celebrities, but we also work our butts off.
That's Marcia Droste. She's the wife of co-founder Ed Droste and a former Hooters girl.
Even if you haven't been to a Hooters, you've seen the Hooters calendar, and it's really our biggest tool to reach the public for marketing and also for meaningful charitable things.
By 1991, Hooters had roughly 50 locations across the U.S., and Hooters of America reported revenues of over $100 million. For comparison, Applebee's, which opened 4 years before Hooters, reported nearly $60 million that same year. Back then, Hooters' rise showed no signs of slowing down.
Everybody thinks it's all girls, it's all atmosphere, it's the music.
But actually, it's also about the wings.
It's the highest ordered item on the menu. Domestically, we sell about 30 million pounds a year, so it's a very critical item.
The recipe for Hooters chicken wings is so secret, even our cooks aren't allowed to know it.
They made stuff from scratch. I mean, it wasn't an afterthought in those early days. The food was good.
You know what they say. Sauce sells.
And with every endeavor, the brand stayed true to its slogan.
Delightfully tacky, yet unrefined.
Whether in commercials,
Hooters, where all the big guys hang out.
late night TV,
Hooters chicken wing doc.
I wouldn't turn down a breast, would I?
or NASCAR sponsorships.
Everywhere we went, we revolutionized the market, and that was by necessity.
By the end of 1993, the chain had doubled its footprint, with around 100 locations across the U.S., and Hooters of America was reporting $200 million in revenue. But beyond the restaurant floor, opinions about the Hooters girl and the company's all-female waitstaff were shifting. That year, the National Organization for Women launched a campaign against Hooters, calling it sexist and exploitive.
There have been Hooters girls who have said they experience unwanted sexual advances. There's an inherent risk to it for the women working in those restaurants versus the average casual dining chain.
But some early Hooters girls, like Lynn and Marcia, say their experiences were different.
We have a sisterhood. You know, we were all partying together, we're all waitressing together. It was literally family.
It's too empowering to be a Hooters girl for it to feel like we're being objectified.
Nevertheless, the rise of Hooters in the 90s popularized the term breastaurant to describe chains that built their brand around sex appeal.
I think you can safely say Hooters started this segment. Twin Peaks came later, a bunch of other copycats came later.
If you ask those closest to the original concept, they'll reject the label.
We get it, but we don't necessarily embrace it. And we'd like to think that we are so much more than that.
People are going to always have an opinion about the way women might dress or the way women might carry themselves or even where they work. But we just don't subscribe to that, and we don't care.
Beyond its reputation, Hooters was facing bigger threats. In 1993, 6 former waitresses sued a Hooters in Minneapolis for allegedly perpetuating an environment in which customers sexually harassed them.
All these lawsuits cannot have been good for Hooters' public image. It was already walking a fine line.
By 1995, the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission was publicly challenging Hooters' policy of hiring only women servers, calling it sex discrimination.
It's scary when the federal government says they want to basically shut you down or charge you. At the time, I think it was $22 million.
To change our method of operation for 10 years would have put us out of business, and we weren't that big. We were probably 50, 60 stores.
So Hooters did what it does best. It got the public's attention. The company rallied around 100 Hooters waitresses for a march on Washington outside government offices.
That's me with all of our girls. What a thrill to look back and see a wave of orange marching for our right to be Hooters girls.
We put a guy on the billboard up there that brought us quite a bunch of notoriety, and we actually won.
In 1996, the commission quietly dropped the case against Hooters due to limited financial resources and heavy caseload.
It became more exposure than we ever thought. Our sales and growth just skyrocketed after that.
Then, in 2003, Hooters of America chairman Bob Brooks tried something few brands would dare. He launched an airline. Hooters Air offered $129 flights to 15 destinations, each staffed with 2 Hooters girls and 3 FAA-certified flight attendants.
I wasn't a big fan of Bob Brooks going into Hooters Air because I always said, well, what happens when a plane goes down, you know? But he ran a really good business. They weren't late. They were clean planes.
But the timing was tough. Rising fuel prices and fierce competition from low-cost carriers like Southwest made it difficult for a niche airline like Hooters Air to survive. After just 3 years, the airline was forced to ground operations, leaving behind $40 million in losses.
Running an airline is quite a bit different than running a restaurant.
But Hooters was ready to make another wager. In 2006, it opened Hooters Casino Hotel near the Las Vegas Strip. The resort featured nearly 700 rooms, a casino floor, and multiple dining outlets. It wasn't a winning bet. By 2008, the Hooters Casino Hotel was reporting losses. Yet Hooters sales hit almost $1 billion that year, which wasn't far behind larger competitors like Chili's and Applebee's. Just as the brand was reaching new heights, the economy crashed. People were spending less, and the entire industry felt it.
The recession was hard on all full-service restaurant chains. Consumers were struggling, they were pulling back on their dining visits, and that hit Hooters just as much as it hit Chili's, Applebee's, TGI Fridays, etc.
Hooters was also facing more competition than ever before, from the rise of fast casual dining to growing rival chains like Twin Peaks and Tilted Kilt, which also employed all-female waitstaffs. From 2007 to 2010, Hooters sales tumbled 7.5%, and the company began exploring a potential buyer. At that point, more than 450 locations still operated in 44 states and nearly 30 countries. A vast majority of those were under the franchisor, Hooters of America. But in 2011, the Brooks family sold Hooters of America to private investors. This is when some insiders say things began to change. Terry Moberly, a former franchise manager, witnessed the brand's decline firsthand. For over 2 decades, he oversaw 4 locations across Indiana.
I'm a bit of a pack rat. I keep a lot of mementos around. There was a convention that would come into Indy downtown every year called the Fire Department Instructors Conference. I purchased a 1959 American LaFrance fire truck. This is the kind of commando marketing stuff that we used to really revel in. You know, what we were selling was the All-American Girl Next Door brand and not being the appetizer for a strip club.
But when Hooters of America stepped in, it wanted to redefine the brand, starting with a new logo and restaurant redesign in 2013.
The HOA guys sterilized everything. You know, the signs that are up on the wall, it's like free beer tomorrow, where it's just kind of a very tongue-in-cheek, and all those things were taken away because they wanted to be more like Applebee's and O'Charlie's.
More importantly, Hooters of America also changed the recipes.
They switched to a margarine-based sauce rather than butter.
They started, shorting the portion sizes. They came through and thought that they'd offer a salad menu, thinking it would attract more female clientele. Again, another misguided decision.
I think that corporate was out of touch with what was going on at the restaurants.
Jardin Taylor began waitressing at Hooters of America locations in 2015. First in Oklahoma and later in Texas.
A lot of the girls that were working at Hooters during my tenure there went on to be nurses, engineers, lawyers. The girls at Hooters are so multi-talented, and that was a huge misconception, was that we were just ditzy.
Working at Hooters helped Jardin Taylor finance her way through college and graduate school, partially thanks to the company's tuition reimbursement program, which offered up to $1,000 per semester.
I can't tell you how many times I've been in a hospital where when they find out I'm with Hooters, I have to listen to their story, how they put themselves through college.
But being a Hooters girl also meant adhering to a strict image policy.
When I started out in 2015, some of the basic rules were there was absolutely no braids, no visible tattoos, no color on nails. You needed to maintain the look that you had the day that you were hired. Girls would come with different color hair, and whether you were allowed to work was at the discretion of the manager.
That same year, a Maryland Hooters girl was awarded $250,000 after being fired for having blonde highlights. Her manager allegedly told her black people don't have blonde hair. An arbitrator later called the restaurant's image policy discriminatory.
I myself pushed back on a lot of rules, more specifically the hair. I had braids all the time. But sometimes they would push back too, and you would get sent home.
In the past few years, there have been a couple of high-profile racial discrimination lawsuits against Hooters that have resulted in settlements of hundreds of thousands of dollars.
From 2015 to 2018, annual sales at U.S. locations fell nearly 4%. Facing mounting pressures from declining revenue and shifting consumer tastes, Hooters of America was sold again to 2 private equity firms in 2019. Just 2 years later, the company took on another $315 million in new debt, using its restaurants and brand assets as collateral.
Just as it came time for Hooters to start repaying all of that debt, its costs for food and labor started to rise significantly coming out of the pandemic.
COVID was a challenge, right? Inflation took hold, and it was really a perfect storm.
It was one Hooters of America couldn't weather. Management began cutting operational costs and raising menu prices. From 2019 to 2021, the price for 10 wings increased by nearly 14%. In a last-ditch attempt to turn the business around, Hooters of America made the most visible change yet.
We switched to the thong shorts, which, for reference, the difference is this. It's a little bit cheekier, and it caused quite the controversy.
The feeling was that it really alienated female customers, families, and so it was really counterproductive for what Hooters needed to be doing at that time, which is to reach a wider audience.
I think it just got to the point where they overemphasized the sexuality, and that's not what the brand is about at all.
Hooters of America eventually backed down from its uniform policy, stating its waitresses could determine which style of shorts best fits their body style and personal image.
There are a group of people that think that the salacious way to go in the brand is the way to go, which is what the Twin Peaks brand, that's what they do.
And it worked for that chain. From 2022 to 2024, Twin Peaks sales increased by nearly 20%, while Hooters sales dropped by 21%. Through all of HOA's struggles, the original owners continued to successfully operate their primary locations in Florida and Illinois.
While Hooters of America was going into bankruptcy, Hooters Inc. was having one of the best years in its history.
Welcome, Hooters!
Hooters Inc. didn't share exact figures, but in a press release, it said its restaurants made more than double the average revenue of Hooters of America's in 2024, all while maintaining the decor, uniforms, and recipes the brand was built on.
If the second and third acquirers of our brand had just stuck with the basics, and we were not silent about our views on that, they would be experiencing what we are now, and that's record sales.
Forbes reported Hooters Inc. had an estimated annual revenue of over $100 million in 2024. Meanwhile, Hooters of America abruptly closed roughly 40 locations across the country that year. In 2025, the franchisor filed for bankruptcy and shut down 30 more restaurants. However, this gave the original founders a chance to reclaim the brand. That November, the original Hooters group announced it had finalized a deal to acquire 111 Hooters of America restaurants.
So we're looking at a situation where the very people who founded Hooters might end up being the ones who save it.
Their goal is to bring the company back to its roots, starting with the menu.
If you don't get the food right, you shouldn't be in the restaurant business.
I think the next 2 to 3 years, you're going to see a return immediately of the butter-based ingredients that make those chicken wings so famous.
It's going to change the uniforms, make them more modest, repair the restaurants, and put better equipment in.
It's easy to get complacent, and so we're going to clean up these stores, but then all of us need to up our game in getting our message out.
For it to rise again, Hooters will also have to repair its reputation.
It's really hard to turn a sinking ship.
I think that they just need to focus on the quality of the food and the quality of the Hooter Girl. I think that that could save the business.
After 4 decades, the question now is whether Hooters can rebrand to appeal to a new generation, and whether it can sell itself all over again.
They heard me preach marketing because we're a brand that was known for its marketing, and when you do it right, we're always known for it.
We all believe this brand is so resilient, and we're all ready to roll up our sleeves and do whatever we can.
We wear it proudly. I mean, I think you bleed orange. Ed made me believe all of this. He just has that way of making you believe it's going to work out. That's his thing. We're going to be world famous. You're going to be world famous. It was hard to buy back then, but damn if he wasn't right.
A mainstay in pop culture and lunchboxes for more than 80 years.
Twinkie. That's a big Twinkie.
The Twinkie is an American icon. The vanilla cake stuffed with cream even made it into the National Millennium Time Capsule.
When you think about kind of the pantheon of food brands, there aren't a ton that kind of rise to the level of Twinkies.
But 2 bankruptcies, heavy debt loads, and changing tastes pushed Twinkies off shelves and almost to their death.
People were starting to sell boxes of Twinkies on eBay for $1,000 a pop. I mean, just crazy stuff, right? It was like the death of a piece of Americana.
But just when everyone thought that they were gone for good, Twinkies rose again. So what happened? Twinkies were invented in Schiller Park, Illinois in 1930. This guy, James Dewar, managed a bakery plant at the start of the Depression. He wanted to make better use of expensive strawberry shortcake equipment sitting unused when strawberries weren't in season, so he stuck banana cream in a shortcake. Dewar sold the Twinkies in packs of 2 for 5 cents. When bananas were rationed during World War II, the simple vanilla cream we know today became the filling. In the next 2 decades, Twinkies and its parent brand Hostess dominated the packaged cake market. Marketed to children in everything from TV commercials to Batman comics, Twinkies rose to the status of a cultural icon.
You're getting ready for school. Here's a swell dessert that you can take along with you. A package of 2 big Hostess Twinkies.
The Hostess snack cemented itself in kids' lunchboxes across America.
It was an affordable indulgence for families. It was just so woven into the fabric of the culture of America.
In 1971, the brand introduced its mascot, Twinkie the Kid.
It's Twinkie the Kid! Yahoo!
The anthropomorphic cowboy Twinkie became popular among kids for sharing his namesake cakes. But growing talk of Twinkie's high sugar content would soon butt heads with the brand's kid-friendly marketing. First, the Federal Trade Commission came down on Hostess for false nutritional claims. The agency concluded that sugar was the main ingredient in Twinkies. And then in '79, the trial of a San Francisco man charged with murdering the mayor gave rise to the term Twinkie defense. The defense team argued he had diminished capacity thanks to his addiction to Twinkies, and the murder charges were lessened to manslaughter. It was a trial that balked at the wholesome cake brand Hostess was trying to build.
Fresh, wholesome Hostess meets my tough standards. So when I say yes, it's Hostess.
Then began a string of new owners for Hostess. In the 70s, telephone company ITT ran Twinkie's parent company. In the 80s, dog food maker Purina acquired Hostess. And a decade later, it landed under its final owner, Interstate Bakeries Corporation. The sale created the largest baking company in the US, with at its peak 58 factories, over 10,000 delivery routes, a boost in Twinkie sales, and $3.2 billion in total sales. But in the late 90s, America's changing tastes would soon spell trouble for the sugar-packed Twinkies. With the growing popularity of low-carb, Atkins, and later the South Beach diets, some Americans were becoming more health-conscious. Loaded with calories, sugar, and preservatives most people hadn't heard of, let alone could pronounce, Twinkies became a casualty of the health revolution. Sales fell and then flattened. In October of '98, because of missed earnings, shares dropped 25% in just one day. But it wasn't just the product that was the problem. Pensions and raw goods got too costly. As other food companies were modernizing manufacturing, Hostess ran inefficient factories, operating at 54% capacity utilization.
That's very poor in the manufacturing world.
The company also relied on a tired delivery system.
A DSD model, direct store delivery model, has really high costs because you've got trucks, drivers, gas, insurance that you have to pay for. And you're going to every store in America every few days to drop off product.
Delivery alone ate up 36% of revenue.
An important way to capture this moment in time would be by filling a national time capsule.
In 1999, President Bill Clinton included a Twinkie in the National Millennium Time Capsule. So Twinkies still had a huge fan base. But by then, the damage to Hostess's bottom line had been done. By 2004, with $700 million in debt, Twinkie's parent company, Interstate, filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Over the next 5 years, Interstate cut 7,000 employees and shut down 8 factories. The company came out of bankruptcy in 2009 and rebranded itself Hostess Brands. But it didn't work.
But unfortunately, many of the legacy problems that really hampered the company didn't get solved through that bankruptcy.
Then the recession took a huge hit on Hostess's bottom line, with year-over-year sales down 20%. To make matters worse, a worker strike and labor disputes soon followed.
That fight turned into production stopping, and the management team then threatened to shut the company down, given pressure from its creditors. And that's exactly what happened.
By January 2012, with nearly $1 billion in debt, Hostess Brands filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy again.
The company that makes Twinkies, Wonder Bread, and Ding Dongs announced this morning that it is going out of business.
In November, Twinkies were pulled from shelves, and headlines across the country reported the death of Twinkies.
Customers started, honestly losing their minds over it.
People who would have never cared about the Twinkies, in fact, suddenly wanted them, right? Or thought, oh my God, well, if they're going away forever, I need to stock up.
The rush was on to grab the last of those tasty treats.
People scrambled to get the last Twinkies off those store shelves.
It was like the death of a piece of Americana.
In December 2012, Hostess began laying off all its employees. Things were looking bad for Hostess. But this guy still saw value in the nostalgia attached to the brand.
There was a real brand here, and it's hard to kill a good brand.
Andy is half of the duo credited with saving the Twinkies.
If you polled people age 20 and over, there's 95% brand awareness. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's not every day that you can buy a brand like this that's ubiquitous in consumers' mind and has leading market share, had $1 billion in revenues, and an 80-year legacy.
After the second bankruptcy, Andy approached legendary investor Dean Metropoulos about joining him in rescuing Hostess. Dean had turned around
Bumblebee Tuna, Chef Boyardee, Vlasic Pickles, Half Blue Ribbon. Dean's reputation historically really fit well for this.
But unlike the first Hostess bankruptcy, in 2012, there was no coming out of it with a simple restructure.
That bankruptcy process was unique because it turned into a true liquidation and what's known as a 363 asset sale process.
Basically, what was left of Hostess was sold for parts. Instead of having to inherit that expensive delivery system, underfunded pension plans, and old union contracts, Andy could cherry pick what he and Dean actually wanted and forget the rest. So the two showed up to the 363 asset sale ready to fight for Hostess.
Not one buyer showed up other than us. Anybody could have showed up and topped our bid, and nobody showed up. It was frankly very surprising to me.
Andy and Dean purchased Hostess for $410 million. Out of the sale, they got the Hostess brands, including Twinkie, recipes, and 5 factories.
That's it. There was no employees, there was no ingredients, there was no inventory, and I have to tell you, it was very odd during diligence walking through plants where when you walk in, they're empty, and the person who's walking you through the plant has to turn on the lights.
And quickly, Andy and Dean got to work fixing the company. First, they tackled that delivery system.
The old company did direct store delivery. We were going to transform it into a distribution to warehouse model. Instead of going direct to every grocery store in America, you then go to Walmart's distribution centers or Kroger's distribution centers instead, and then they ship it out to their various stores.
But in order to move Twinkies through a warehouse, they first had to increase the shelf life. Historically, Twinkies only lasted 25 days.
People would put Twinkies in their earthquake shelters because everybody had this perception that Twinkies would last forever. That really wasn't the case.
Andy and Dean invested millions to develop a Twinkie that tasted the same, but lasted longer.
We're at first able to get the shelf life to 45 days and then ultimately to 65 days of shelf life. And so that really helped get the retailers comfortable that they could take it into their warehouses and that the product quality would not be compromised.
The new recipe and warehouse delivery model helped cut delivery costs by 20%. It also meant Hostess could affordably deliver Twinkies to drugstores and dollar stores, markets they'd never reached before.
Dollar General became one of our top 5 customers.
Next up, Andy turned to factory efficiency. Andy and Dean wanted to be able to make $1 billion worth of cake yearly, but with 1/9 of the labor and 1/5 of the factories.
We ended up getting to 85% capacity utilization plus.
Finally, the duo worked on innovating the product line with smaller pack sizes and mini Twinkies.
Those products really didn't get the resonance in the marketplace, and so then we just jumped wholeheartedly into embrace the brand, embrace what you are, which is indulgence.
The team had to make all these changes in a matter of months. In July 2013, the once dead Twinkies returned to shelves, to tons of fanfare.
The world is a better place tonight because Twinkies are back.
The tagline was the sweetest comeback in the history of ever. It all went viral. It was really kind of unbelievable. A lot of that, frankly, that excitement and buzz, ironically, could have never come about if Twinkies never came off the shelf.
The trite saying is what? You don't know what you've got until it's gone.
Twinkies quickly sold out in stores across America.
During our first year, we had $555 million in revenues from nothing, with profit margins of 27% in a company that lost money and had to go bankrupt twice.
By 2015, Hostess was making 1 million Twinkies a day, $400 million a year, and $180 million in profit. At the time, Twinkies made up 80% of the company's product output, and the success just kept rising. In 2016, Apollo and Metropolis took Hostess public. The IPO valued the company at $2.3 billion, nearly 5 times what Andy and Dean had paid for it. Apollo and Metropolis's gamble that Americans still loved Twinkies had paid off. But was the beloved snack revived for good?
The stock price has been relatively flat to a little down, but overall the health of the company is very strong.
The coronavirus pandemic has helped Hostess.
That's because a lot of Americans are buying more food, especially more processed foods. But the key question going forward is, to what degree will that continue? Do they continue eating Twinkies?
Alex says adding more limited time offer flavorings like peppermint and s'mores Twinkies could help, or diversifying into new product lines, like Twinkies cereal.
Twinkies is a big brand, but at the end of the day, Hostess probably realizes that they need to diversify.
And while diversifying certainly might be part of it, Hostess's greatest success has come from leaning into Twinkies nostalgia.
Shrimp is the most consumed seafood in the United States. And in Louisiana, it's big business. The wild-caught crustaceans bring in about $1.3 billion for the state every year. But for the last few years, shrimpers have been hit with a perfect storm of rising fuel costs and rock-bottom prices.
That's one of the toughest jobs you could ever do. And if you're not getting your dues for it, why do it?
Producers say a flood of cheaper imported shrimp from India and Ecuador is sinking Louisiana's industry. But there's no way to feed America's skyrocketing demand without imports, which make up 90% of the shrimp the U.S. consumes. Up against these headwinds, companies up and down Louisiana's supply chain are closing up shop.
If you worked hard and you did the right thing, you could become a millionaire in the 80s and the 90s. Now you could barely make a living.
So how did the industry get this bad? And is it too late to save it? New Orleans chef Justin Kennedy insists on buying only wild shrimp caught by fishermen in the Gulf of Mexico.
We have never fried a foreign shrimp and ever served it to our customer. I'll never even look at it as an option.
He runs Parkway Bakery and Tavern, a New Orleans fixture since 1911, famous for these massive po' boys.
It's just one of those perfect little things that bring all walks of life together, and damn if it's a sandwich, you know?
He can go through 3,000 pounds of shrimp a week.
So what this is a sink that we just have chilled water piped to, and it's just a quick thawing out our seafood. And if you look at them, they're peeled. We take that vein out because it's a cleaner shrimp. It butterflies it a little bit more to kind of hold the batter and just make it a better bite. I'm gonna scoop a heaping pile of it up. So we're gonna dust this up.
He coats them in only corn flour.
We just use the natural juices and moisture from the shrimp to pick up that flour. You lightly shake that off. 350 degrees, that's pure vegetable oil. This one right here is getting that golden brown color, right? Looking like little baby fried chicken. Watch this, you break that open. Look at that. Look at that little coating. Look at that Louisiana white meat in there. You know, you can't get no better than that.
That shrimp will eventually meet one of these giant loaves.
I think I'm almost 2 breads tall. Let's see. The French people kind of laugh at it because we call it French bread, but it's New Orleans French bread. This ain't French bread.
Justin hits the bread with some mayo, lettuce, and tomato.
And then we start dealing the shrimp.
2 handfuls?
Oh no, we put more than that. Yeah, I mean
4 handfuls?
It's a big sandwich, but you'll notice when you see this thing laid out in front of you, you'll be like, how am I going to eat all that? And then all of a sudden it's gone. So we do 1 fold, tuck these in, wrap it. We're gonna put 1 more on there. There you go. Parkway Bakery Shrimp Po' Boy.
Where's that go now?
In my belly, baby.
About 1,000 people line up every day for these sandwiches, and Justin credits Local Shrimp for his award-winning recipe.
You know, I've had people try to sample me foreign. The batter won't stick on it. It's translucent when you cook it. You never see this pretty white meat. It still looks clear. It still looks like this when you cook it. But this Louisiana shrimp's true and true every time. Can't beat it.
Justin gets most of his shrimp from this factory, right up the road. Kristen Baumer is one of the few processors left in the area who only works with Gulf shrimp, just like his family has for over 130 years.
We've definitely seen a lot of processors go out of business. It's become more of a volume game because the margins are so tight.
His company processes 30 million pounds of shrimp annually.
So what we're doing is easy peeling shrimp. We're hand feeding it into a machine that splits the back of the shell, cuts the shell open, and then it allows, when you cook it, more flavor to get into the shrimp as well as making it easier to peel.
Kristen's team flash freezes all the crustaceans in this room. That's how they're able to transport the shrimp all over the country.
So they're picking shrimp for the second time to make sure they get all the defects out of it before it goes up.
This shaker separates the pieces so they won't stick together when they're frozen. Then they take a trip down this tunnel at minus 400 degrees Fahrenheit.
And after the shrimp hits the liquid nitrogen, it forms a crust on the shrimp, and then it moves slowly through the belt to freeze from the outside in. Don't stick your finger in unless you have a warrant that you want to burn up.
This machine portions the seafood into 5-pound bags of about 15 pieces. Each bag gets a traceability barcode.
Link it all the way back to the shrimp dock that it came from.
This processed product comes out to anywhere from $7 to $10 a pound, depending on the season.
With inflation, everything is getting more and more expensive, and running these processing plants and all this moving equipment and avoiding breakdowns takes a lot of capital.
People have been fishing and processing this shrimp in Louisiana for centuries, from Cajun fishermen to the indigenous people of the United Homa Nation. In the 1800s, shrimp was a staple food of the poor, and sellers couldn't transport it far because shrimp spoiled so easily in the Louisiana heat. That was until the mid-1800s, when several advancements brought shrimp beyond the local scene. Chinese immigrants introduced traditional drying techniques that could preserve the shrimp, and the first canning factory in New Orleans opened up in 1875. But fresh shrimp transported on ice was expensive, so it took on a reputation as a luxury item tossed into shrimp salads and perched in cocktails. By the 1950s, techniques to freeze shrimp and new refrigerated trucks sealed the deal. They allowed for seafood delivery as far away as the East Coast and Chicago. This was about the time that the shrimp imports into the U.S. from Mexico and then India began to take off. By 1970, demand across the U.S. had nearly tripled, and domestic shrimpers caught more to keep up, with Louisiana leading the pack. By the 90s, the state's shrimp and shellfish generated nearly $2 billion and supported 22,000 jobs. And come the turn of the century, shrimp became the most consumed seafood in America. At the same time, new tech helped farms in Asia and South America raise a lot more shrimp. In less than a decade, farming production skyrocketed nearly 200%, overtaking global catches of wild shrimp. In 2023, the U.S. imported 1.7 billion pounds, nearly as much as its population consumes. And these imports are often cheaper than wild-caught U.S. shrimp. That's because labor costs are lower in big shrimp farming countries like India and Ecuador, and their governments have subsidized these operations. In the U.S., domestic shrimp prices have dropped to compete with the low import prices. Meanwhile, shrimpers like Captain Lonnie Mayu Jr. are facing skyrocketing costs of operating a boat.
You're wasting fuel and ice if you don't catch anything.
Since the 1980s, he says a block of ice has gone from $14 to $26 today. A set of new nets more than doubled, and a gallon of gas more than tripled in price. At 82 years old, Lonnie, who goes by Knuckles, hasn't given up trawling these waters, even after 6 decades. Starting in May, he heads out to catch brown shrimp, usually around sunset.
you have to go do your homework and know where they're going to be at.
He works independently, like most of the shrimpers here.
Right about there. A little too far.
During the day, brown shrimp may bury themselves in the sediment to hide from predators. But after dark, they often come out and roam in shallow water. Knuckles and his deckhand Steve drop these nets that skim the top of the water.
We're not dragging anything on the bottom.
He positions himself against the current, so the shrimp fall right into his nets.
The shrimp are not like fish. They can't really swim that great. They take a ride on the current.
Knuckles and Steve will pick out and keep just the shrimp. Sea turtles have an escape hatch in the net, and other animals get thrown back into the sea, where some dolphins are waiting to chow down on them.
If we don't pick up in that favor often enough, they'll take and bite it out the net.
They can literally rip a 4-foot hole in it, which is going to take a lot of time to fix.
Like this one. Knuckles pulls up the net so he can sew it closed.
You're going to lose everything, you know? You're going to be working for literally nothing.
This work can be grueling. Some shrimpers have big enough vessels they can stay out for weeks at a time. Knuckles has a smaller boat, so he fishes just until morning.
But it keeps you in shape.
But even after all this work, there's a chance they could have a bad run. Tonight, most of the nets were full of catfish.
Ooh, catfish.
See it, belly? They're full of shrimp.
Full of shrimp. They went in the net, ate all the shrimp. We ain't got a pound of shrimp. It's all catfish. I'm gonna try pushing up, going a little further up in the lake or something.
Knuckles spent $45,000 buying and fixing up his boat. It was meant to be his ticket to retirement. But now he's unsure that plan will work.
You know, for me to get out the business, I gotta sell it. I got no retirement, but I can't sell a boat. Can't give it away. Nobody wants it.
And most shrimpers agree it's getting harder to justify going out.
For this boat to leave the dock, it's gonna cost me over $1,000. It's killing us. The farmers is killing us.
Right now, nobody want to do it no more because they're struggling.
Milena Cheeve has been fishing for 8 years. Like 60% of the state's shrimp boat owners, she and her husband are originally from Southeast Asia.
With our education, there's nothing else we could do besides fishermen, especially like me and my husband, like in our mid-50s.
Milena and her husband weren't able to go to college, but they hoped shrimping would help their kids do the opposite.
Not enough to pay, especially when you have 2 kids in college. You're struggling.
Dock owners are feeling the impact too.
Because if we don't bring no shrimp, they don't make no money either. You know, when the shrimp boats go out, they're gonna kill the docks too.
That's a pretty shrimp.
Dean Blanchard's family has been buying and selling local shrimp for 5 generations.
I was born in a shrimp dock. When I was a baby, they used to put me in a shrimp box.
His dock, 2 hours south of New Orleans, was once one of the biggest shrimp suppliers in the country. But last year, he paid the lowest prices he ever has for the larger shrimp.
30-some years ago, they went down from $5 to $1.30.
That's because he's selling it for so little to the peeling factories.
Right now, it's the cheapest I ever seen in my life. I'm sick to my stomach. I ain't never seen nothing like this. Never in my life seen it this bad.
After 6 decades in the industry, Dean's no stranger to financial challenges. From the 2010 BP oil spill to big storms. His dock had $2 million in damages after Hurricane Ida hit in 2021.
Where you're standing right there wasn't even there after the storm. I mean, I've rebuilt this building at least 8, 9 times.
He never fixed up this part of his marina.
Oh, it brings tears to your eyes. I mean, everything you work for all your life is gone.
But imports, he says, have done even more damage.
We're directly correlated with imports. If a completely processed
product is coming in for just over $4 a pound, that means our dockside prices have to be lower, the processors' prices are lower, so to be able to try to get that market share and keep it. So you're making the same amount of money that you would in 2000, but 22 years later.
Fewer boats can afford to go out, so less shrimp is landing on Dean's dock.
We're down to right under 20% of what we normally are for this time of the year.
On this day we visited in May 2023, not a single shrimp boat pulled up to unload.
It ain't gonna last too much longer like this. Thank God I'm almost 65 years old and I ain't got no kids in this business.
Dean estimates that 96% of the docks operating when he started out have since closed down.
I feel bad for the people because I know once I'm gone, they're gonna have to drive 50, 60, 70 miles to go sell their product.
Just like Knuckles, when Dean retires, he doesn't think anyone will buy the company.
Nobody can afford to take it over. The property is worth more than the business.
Louisiana still hauls in the most shrimp of any U.S. state, over 70 million pounds in 2023. But that's a small fraction, the roughly 2 billion pounds the U.S. consumes.
The American landings of shrimp cannot cover the overall consumption of shrimp.
Nearly 90% of the shrimp Americans eat is imported, and much of it is sourced using controversial practices. In 2021, an International Trade Commission analysis indicated that shrimp might be the U.S. seafood market most affected by illegal fishing. Like this boat, off the coast of Gambia. It had an illegal undersized net, and although the shrimp was labeled sustainable, 99.9% of the seafood on board were other species, like sharks and octopuses.
And a lot of time, that bycatch dies on the deck and just gets thrown back into the ocean.
But the majority of the shrimp the U.S. imports is farm-raised.
A lot of our shrimp comes from India, where there are huge environmental concerns, as well as ongoing allegations of human rights abuses and forced labor.
A 2024 Associated Press report found women in the Indian state of Andhra Pradesh were peeling frozen shrimp without protective gear, which can lead to frostbite.
It's kept incredibly cold to keep bacteria from proliferating. I don't know about you, but I don't want to hold ice cubes in my hand all day while I'm also trying to do very nimble work with my fingers. One of the huge issues is that these shrimp farms are isolated. They're far out on the coast. There's not OSHA. There's no one protecting and making sure that the conditions are safe.
But they have few other options for work.
A lot of times when these aquaculture facilities are built, other economic resources in these areas disappear.
Arugula Baby is still trying to pay off an $8,500 loan she took out when her son was dying of liver disease. Since he passed, she's been raising her grandchildren alone. To get to the peeling shed, she has to pay for transportation and 25 cents to a recruiter. She earns below $4 every day, $2 under the country's minimum wage.
A lot of times we will see a woman being threatened for her own safety or her family's safety unless she works, unless she meets certain quotas.
Beyond the human cost, there's also an environmental one. In India, most of the farms are along coastlines, where water is plentiful and mangrove forests thrive.
Those mangroves go through deforestation. They're pulled out. They're blown up with dynamite. So we lose that nursery habitat for other sea creatures, and we lose our coastline protection.
When that happens, shrimp can have 10 times the carbon footprint of beef.
Next, these really big ponds are dug into the land. So the shrimp live in these ponds.
chemicals and excrement from shrimp pens can leach out into surrounding environments. They can cause algae blooms and dead zones, disrupt ecosystems, and contaminate water. Shrimp farms around the world have been criticized for using antibiotics to treat illness in their ponds.
If you've ever ridden the subway home at rush hour, you know how it is. You're in tight, you're squeezed in tight. There's great opportunities for sickness to spread. And it's that exact same situation in these ponds, which is why antibiotic use is so incredibly high.
That overexposure can lead to antimicrobial resistant superbugs, a health concern that's estimated to have caused nearly 1.3 million deaths around the world in 2019. And some antibiotics, like nitrofurans, have been linked to liver damage and cancer. In the US and European Union, almost all of these kinds of drugs are banned.
So you could end up eating something that's illegal here.
In 2023, the US Food and Drug Administration turned away 51 shipments of shrimp because of banned antibiotics. But the organization checks just about 2% of imports.
So what happens with that other 96 to 98% of seafood that's coming in?
The major health concern here is the lack of testing of imported shrimp, the amount of banned substances that may be carried in these shrimp.
A 2017 LSU study found that 30 out of 42 samples tested from stores around Baton Rouge had antibiotics or antimicrobials.
And that's largely due to the fact that the FDA is responsible for more than 50 million imports annually. And there's just not enough work power to inspect everything coming in.
In the last year, the U.S. Department of Commerce has imposed duties on shrimp from India, Vietnam, and Ecuador. But these efforts, Louisianan shrimpers tell us, haven't been enough to help their incomes. Imported shrimp is still flooding the market. That's why locals like Kristen have been advocating for more regulation. He's a part of the Louisiana Shrimp Task Force, which works with the state government on long-term solutions.
We need country of origin labeling on restaurant menus, so at least when people buy, they're buying and making a choice.
In 2019, the Louisiana legislature passed a law requiring restaurants to disclose if their shrimp is imported. But some restaurants still passed off imported as domestic. The state's health department has handed down 2,600 violations since the law went into effect, but no restaurants were ever fined. In May 2024, the governor signed a bill for heavier fines on restaurants that mislabel seafood. If they're busted, they could be fined up to $2,000. While Justin says he'll never touch imported shrimp, he can understand why restaurants turn to it when the local stuff gets expensive.
They're looking for a good product that will get the register to ring, and so you can't blame them either.
With dock prices so low, he paid $4 a pound in 2023, almost half of what he was paying 2 years ago.
I understand that. When I get a cheap price, I know the shrimpers out there in the boats are probably getting hammered. But if it went back to $7 a pound, I'd still buy it. I just have to go up on my price.
A price he says he's lucky his customers would probably pay.
You're talking to one of the busiest po' boy shops in the city. What about the corner stores who are just living from day to day? There has to be some kind of medium. I just hope it'll work itself out. This has been little, small holes pecking away for 30, 40, 50, 60 years, you know? And it's coming where, it's starting to take water. We're going down, you know, in this seafood industry.
The fact is, the U.S. eats so much shrimp that the stuff caught in the Gulf could never cover it all. So farm crustaceans will probably always fill that gap.
Got to import because we can't supply the whole United States. But put a quota on it.
It has to come down from Washington. There has to be some work done up there with like regulating the import.
Dean wants federal assistance for shrimpers.
Yeah, there wouldn't be a farmer left in business if they had to live like we live. They're being subsidized for this. Shrimpers should be considered farmers of the sea, but we're not.
More inspections of seafood at U.S. ports and better traceability of shrimp from boat to plate would also help. But some experts say it comes down to better consumer awareness of the health benefits of wild-caught shrimp over farmed. like how the salmon industry got people to pay more for wild-caught thanks to messaging that it was more nutrient-dense.
If people would know exactly what they're buying and they know exactly what they're feeding their kids, they wouldn't mind paying a couple of cents more for a product that don't have antibiotics.
In the grocery store aisle, don't be fooled by tricky labeling, like product of USA or prepared in the USA. That could be referring to where the shrimp was last processed, not necessarily where it was caught. Flip to the back of the package and look for the phrase farm raised or wild caught in, followed by a country name. That should tell you where it's from.
Purchase U.S. farmed or U.S. wild caught shrimp. In the U.S., farm shrimp are held to very strict regulations in regards to what antibiotics they can use and how much.
And when you're at a restaurant,
I always ask, where is that shrimp from? And if that restaurant can't answer that, then I don't order it. Or maybe we should just eat a little less shrimp and take it back to being a special occasion item.
Backed by consumer awareness, maybe then shrimpers can save their sinking ship.
We have to have it, and we will always have it. Parkway Bakery will always have Louisiana shrimp. I'll get on a boat my damn self, you know? This is my father-in-law and my wife right here, and we met back 6-7 years ago in a po' boy competition, and that's how we met. I won by a hair. You know, I won in the short run. She definitely won in the long run.
You're not allowed to bring it up, though.
No, I'm not allowed to bring it up.